the passionate fans who are not here today.
You're listening to the RPM Podcast.
And here we are again, take 2 of RPM Podcast, episode 192. No, 193. Take 2 of episode 193.
Oh, God, we're on take 3 now.
I was on the back page of my notes. It's episode 193 of the RPM Podcast, July 6, 2021. It was a scorching 95 degrees today. My brother loves it when it's hot out like this. I don't know how he does it. He just likes hot weather. I'm Scott Riggleman, your host down here in Manchester, New Jersey. My brother, America's spotter, Tim Riggleman, is up in Farmdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you dealing with the heat?
I'm doing good. I went from my air-conditioned bedroom to Grandpa Blewett's pool back to the studio here to do the podcast.
I'm jealous.
Wait, episode 193.
Was it nice and hot up there now? Sometimes that pool takes a while to warm up.
They have a heater on it now.
Oh, they got a heater on that? Wow, you guys are high class. When I was a kid, we froze our butt off in that pool until August, and it finally warmed up. Josh, it was one of those type of pools that once it finally warmed up, it was time to close it again.
Yeah, no, my parents would be like that.
And that pool back in the day, it was all steel. We had to paint it before we were allowed to go in it. And then once the
5 foot of leaves out of it because they would never cover it. They would just drain it and never cover it.
Yeah, that pool's over 100 years old, Josh. It's from one of the old hotels down in Asbury Park, where it was the grand heyday of Asbury Park.
Okay.
With the big grand,
so the
grand hotel.
They trucked the steel.
Before Grandpa was in the junkyard business, he was in the house wrecking business.
Demolition,
and they knocked it down, and they trailed it back from Atlantic City to where it is now. Asbury Park. Yeah, Asbury Park.
I always heard that pool was bigger too, Tim. Was that the same size pool, or did they cut it in like half and weld it back together or something?
It was always the same size that I know of. I do know.
No, I mean when they bought it from Asbury Park.
Yeah, I don't.
Real big when they bought it back from Asbury Park.
I do know, but I don't know if it was bigger. But I do know that they had it originally flipped over, and that was the race car shop.
Oh, really?
They had to pull up on like blocks or whatever.
And that was the roof?
That was the roof, yeah.
Josh, this pool's so old, it's just a steel shell, basically what it is. Like a big tub, you know?
Right.
And they put it in the ground, they put like concrete around it, like a little sidewalk around it. But it has none of the filters or nothing in it. So the pipes are on the outside of the pool.
Grandpa had it all redone, and all the pipes are in the ground now.
Oh, wow. You guys are getting really high-tech. When I was a kid up there, we had to be careful running around the pool because you would trip over the pipe because you were on the outside of the pool.
They were all ankle high?
Yeah, they were all ankle high around the pool, and then they just went over the edge of the pool and into the water. You know, that's how it filtered it, you know?
That's all fixed.
It's all fixed.
So,
and
but
we weren't allowed in the pool. We had to wait from midnight until everybody was going to sleep, and then we'd sneak in the pool. You know?
So, wait, they just dug a pit and threw this shell in?
Yeah, the big steel shell, yeah.
Okay. And we don't know the history of it. Okay.
Well, no, we do. It's from the hotel in Asbury Park. And I think it was that big hotel, Tim, where I had my prom at.
I knew the name of the hotel back in the day.
Beach, or what's the name of the...
Nobody, everybody. I've asked John and Jesse, and they don't remember. Yeah. And Grandpa, he don't know. He just yells out, "Yo, no!"
I went to my senior prom was in Asbury Park at that big hotel. I'm sure there's listeners listening right now. It's Hyatt Regency or something like that. I don't know. It was famous hotel. I always heard the pool was from there.
Ralph Hall knew exactly where it's from. Unfortunately, I can't ask him anymore. He's no longer around, but he would know exactly where it was from.
But this is people know. If you're going towards Bricktown, when you pass the junkyard on Herbertsville Road, right past the parking lot, if you look to the back side of the parking lot in that corner, the pool is right there. You can see the fence around it. And if you go by there on a day like this or tomorrow or whatever, you can see all the blow-up rafts and stuff like that they use in the pool.
Beep the horn. I'll be there tomorrow.
I think Tim.
Are you bringing your blow up, Tim?
Swan. I think there's a big swan up there that Tim floats around.
I don't like. I like to be in the water. I don't know why people go to a pool and then float on top of the water. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, we're already off topic, but Josh Matthews was our host, our producer, we had some trouble with logging on today with on my side, and I made Josh work, so he's probably got a headache already. He's probably gonna be grumpy the rest of the show. Josh is down in Waretown, New Jersey. He did a great job getting us on the air. We were early away from calling it a night and quitting.
Yeah,
because it took me forever to log on. And then we were on. We started the show. I lost everything on my side, but we seem to be doing good now.
And we actually started early.
Yeah, I was ready early for like the first time, and then Scott's system broke.
Yeah. All right. Basically, what we're going to do, we just came on here to say hi to everybody. We haven't been on in the last couple of weeks, because Wall Stadium has been raining out. I mean, it's tough for us to do a podcast without Wall Stadium. Wall Stadium's our home base, and that's what we kind of do the podcast off. And number one, my brother's there. I'm there. Josh usually shows up too. So we're all there. It's basically our friends and family are there, and everybody that listens to the show basically goes to go to Wall Stadium. Yeah, we do like talking about New Egypt and Bridgeport and Evergreen, and have Larry Spencer on and talking about NASCAR here and there, and just the world of racing. But our nucleus of the show is Wall Stadium, and unfortunately for them and for us, I'm sure it's taken a pretty good toll on them financially wise. We had 2 rainouts leading up to a scheduled off weekend for 4th of July. So basically we haven't raced in 3 weeks. You know, we got a little bit in that first week with the heat races and stuff, and like one feature in the Legend Car feature, which was won by Quinn Trimmer, who I've been promising we're going to have on, but we will have him on one day when we have a full show going on here.
On the final episode.
Yeah, final episode. Turkey Derby will have him on, but we just want to come on and say hello. We're kind of going to do like a freestyle show. We're going to talk a little bit about my trip going to Pocono. My brother's been watching a lot of Dale Jr.'s shows on that the Peacock Network, where he's got the Lost Speedways. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We can talk a little bit about the NASCAR race at Road America, the Xfinity race out there at Road America. We'll try to do a little content, and we'll talk about a little bit what Wall Stadium has going on this Saturday. But we just kind of want to check in and say hello to everybody. But before we get going, I got to thank Nick Catone, our sponsor of the show. Nick Catone's MMA. It's over on 781 Brick Boulevard in Brick, New Jersey. Nick does boxing, jiu-jitsu, cardio, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, and more. Basically, if you want to get in shape and kick ass, give Nick a call. Give Nick a call at 732-458-0133. My brother doesn't have to call Nick. He already knows. He's already in shape and knows how to kick ass, but Josh might want to give Nick a call.
Yeah, I got to drop a few. You know, it's Nick Catone is MMA and he's MIA because he hasn't responded yet to get me that graphic.
I'll see him Saturday. I'll talk to him on Saturday.
We're doing this. We're doing this show so Mr. Patterson can enjoy his coffee for once.
Yes.
He hasn't had a good cup of coffee in 3 weeks. So we're
sorry, Rick. Well, it's been so hot out. I mean, you know, he could just, you know, I figure he's working on those UPS trucks, and you know how hot those things get. Freaking ridiculous. All right, anyway, so.
I always said one of those UPS trucks would be a great tow hauler for race cars, but I heard they get cut right up. I heard UPS doesn't sell them off or nothing. Like once they're retired from UPS, they're not for sale. That's why you never see turned into anything else. You know what I'm saying? I hear once they're done, they get cut up.
Well,
I can see.
Don't they make like SWAT vehicles out of something similar though?
Maybe similar, but not UPS ones. I heard UPS ones, once they're retired, they are cut up and recycled for aluminum. And I kind of see how it can be true. Tim, I don't know if you noticed this when you worked at Blewett's Junkyard, but I know they have a contract. The Blewetts have a contract with the U.S. Postal System. They get all the old mail trucks in, but as the guy's towing them in, standing there they have a guy from the Postal Service there. They got to crush them right in front of them. They literally got to take the forklift, and you know it doesn't have to go per se to the car crusher itself, but they got to smash it up where it's beyond repair, fixable, or sellable. Right in front of them. It's got. They
don't want them to resell them, and then somebody gets hurt in them, and they sue the government or whatever.
Well, as soon as they come in on a U.S. Postal Service tow truck, they have a manager from U.S. Postal Service sitting there, and either Alan or Rick Pond or somebody will come over with one of the bucket loaders and just crush it right there in front.
Well, now, if you want to know a story about one of those UPS mail trucks, one of them back in my day came in, and it was like the they used it. It was like the meter maid truck. It wasn't a. They never used it as a mail truck, and the thing had like 2,000 miles on it. John was like, "We're keeping it. We're keeping it. We're keeping it." And we kept it, and Grandpa found out about it. They came back to work the next day. It was in a big ball in the middle of the junkyard. Grandpa was screaming that we kept it. So,
yeah, so some stuff has to be destroyed right then and there. That's the deal. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
I guess it's also so that nobody can get one and then impersonate a federal employee and go stealing mail and stuff like that. And kind of the same for UPS. I would figure they don't want anybody to have a mock-up UPS truck and
well, UPS is a private-run company, right? It's kind of do with the government.
Yeah, but I mean, if anybody started acting like one of their employees or whatever,
Yeah.
and then going up to doors or whatever.
I got a funny story about that too. I junked the guy's. The guy was a mason. I junked one of his trucks, and like a couple months go by, and he's calling me and saying, "Hey man, what'd you do with that truck?" I'm like, "I junked it." He's like, "Well, I keep getting parking tickets from Brooklyn." I said, "No, that truck was junked." Then he started. And I told him. I even showed him a receipt. Like I junked it up Lowe's junkyard. It was junked on that date. I got it from me and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody stole the.
So he started calling the junkyard and complaining, "Hey, you sold the truck and now it's back out on the street, blah, 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 blah." And I saw Grandpa in the junkyard. I said, "Hey, man, that guy's flipping out that you sold his truck and put it back on the road. He's getting tickets for it now." Grandpa's like, "I put that truck out back. It's out back. You go out there and see what's going on." So I drove out back to the back of the junkyard, and Grandpa sold the door off it. And it had the guy's name on the door. His business name and address and phone number and everything on the door. So the door got sold and put on a different truck. It was parking illegal out in Brooklyn with no plates and stuff. So they were sending the tickets to the company.
Well, that's how many times have I told you? You always should take when you sell your race car, take your name off of it. When you sell your truck, take your name off of it. You
spray paint over it, something. That's why you see school buses in the junkyard with the the names painted over the side and everything like that. So all that trouble was over a door. I got put on somebody else's truck.
Actually, I want to say, Scott, we talked about how hot it was, and especially last week, and I got to work in that, which was fun, and same today. But you got to work in some wet weather. I saw too online.
Where was that at?
Was it Scott Maher?
Yeah, that was right down the street from Blue Truck on Herbertsville Road. It only rained when I was out of the truck. I swear, it was getting dark when I was driving. That was a bad tow too. It was in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot.
Oh,
in the drive-through, and it was a broken ball joint.
How the hell do you tear the front of the car off in a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through?
The ball joint broke.
It just chose then to go.
It just chose then to drive. So now I'm trying. I got my lights on, the four-ways on, and sure enough, I get out of the truck. It starts pouring, and people are still pulling into that parking lot to get a cup of coffee. Like they see that I got it all blocked up. They see this car on the ground with the wheel broke off it. Like I would just pass by and stop at the next one, and they're like beeping at me and trying to go around. Like they were fighting to get in there to get a cup of coffee.
They don't care about you. They want their freaking coffee.
It's not like it was 8:00 in the morning. It was like 4 p.m. That was a crazy tow, but
Dunkin' people are snooty. I tell you, I thought Starbucks people.
If you ever been by the Dunkin', when they built that Dunkin', it's new. It's only a couple years old. When they built that Dunkin' Donuts, I'm like, that's a bad spot for a Dunkin'. There's just no room. It wasn't like an old bank or something.
The one next to Prime Meat Market.
Yeah. It was that one. It's just, man, I had that parking lot backed up, man.
I saw the video.
I'm that way in the morning. Like if I gotta stop somewhere and get fuel, and if I drive by a Wawa and there's already like 3 trucks in it by the diesel pumps, I just pass it and go to the next one. Like these people were getting their cup of coffee. They didn't care if they ran me over or not.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts that went in recently on Lacey Road in Forked River, and they've had to put curb in on the center. I guess they couldn't get a full divider, but they put curb in, and then they put like little stanchions out there because people keep trying to make. They're not supposed to make a left in there, but people keep doing it anyway. And then they have a cop there every morning now because people would back up out of the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through line and block Lacey Road. So now they have a cop there just to get people to no, you go find somewhere else, or you go around and wait. You know,
Right.
Because
But, I mean, I kind of blame Dunkin' Donuts for they know they get a line like that. Don't go in a spot where it's hard to get in and out of. You know what I'm saying? But people are crazy. Like, I drive all day long, and I always look at the parking lot. Number one, I'm driving a big truck, so I need room to begin with.
Yeah.
But I always look ahead, and if I'm driving by McDonald's and the drive-thru is backed up to the highway, I just pass and go eat somewhere else. But these people, they were determined to get in there. Like, I got my beacon lights on, my four-ways on. I got the four-ways on in the car. I'm wearing an orange vest. The tires ripped off the side of the car. Like, the drive-thru is blocked. You got to give me a minute to get it out of here. You know what I'm saying?
No can do.
Josh, it was to the point I got in on the bed and I left the bed tilted up a little bit and I drove out of there and down the road, then flattened the bed out and tied the car down.
Just to get the hell out of there.
I just get out of there. I just got it up on the truck enough to get out of that parking lot.
Yeah, I'll tell. I mean, you're way worse off than I mean. I have the extended cab with the long bed, which is already enough of a pain in parking lots, especially Wawa parking lots, to try to get turned around. I mean, I always just go to the back.
Scott Moore arguing with his daughter. He's telling his daughter, well, you don't do any maintenance on the car. That's why the ball joint broke. But I'm telling Scott, I said, Scott, this is a common tow for me because they're non-greasable ball joints.
Right. Yeah, you can't maintain them.
You can't maintain them. They break,
Just a note, that Prime Meat Market right next door there, they have the best pork sausage breakfast patties there.
Okay.
I've never stopped in that place. That's a weird area. Josh, you know we're talking about that old section of Herbertsville Road? That's like an old section there, It's like...
I think I know. I think I've been through there.
There's even that candy company there, Tim Rage Candy Company.
Yeah, and then that one little deli there is, I think it's Weber's brother runs that now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the food is excellent there. Like this homemade soups and chili, and it's really, really good. Yeah.
It's an old section of brick. I always like that little section.
And then you got the two pizza places fighting. Vinny's is on one side and the Sun's on the other side.
You know who else's business is in there that's involved in racing? Diane Hart Financial.
Yeah.
Her husband used to race 4-cylinders. Her business is right there too.
What was I going to say? You were talking about the meats, the meat market there. It's right. Last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but the week before, we went out to Columbus and got went into the Amish section indoors with the butchers, and we got the I think we walked out of there with like 5 pounds of double smoked bacon. It was good.
I get the the bacon ends there. You have the bacon ends.
Yeah,
there.
They're cheap. Yeah, they're real cheap and they're good.
And they're real good. Now you walk out of there with 5 pounds of anything, you spend over $100 in there.
Yeah, I gave 2 pounds to my neighbor. I gave 1 pound to my dad. We ate 2 pounds here with breakfast sandwiches and stuff.
My go-to when I go there, my go-to is I get
head cheese.
2 dozen. No, I get two dozen of the sausage links, the breakfast links. 2 dozen of the maple sausage links.
Ooh.
2 pounds of the bacon ends, and then I get a pound of meat, chopped meat, ground beef, and some some. They have the ground pork there. They can mix them together and make a meatloaf out of them.
Okay,
that's really good.
And that usually holds them over to dinner time, Josh.
Yeah, that's about 2 days. 2 days worth of food. Well, the breakfast is for the girls when the girls come over.
I was saying, they have really good. The smoked turkey is really good, and the ham was good.
Yeah, and if you want to eat in there, they have the beef and the gravy in there.
Oh, I had the stuffed pretzels with like the sausage,
cheese in the middle.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sausage and cheese.
The last time I was at Columbus Market, I got thrown out of there. I was there with Craig Wallace, and it was on a hot day like this. And Tim and Craig used to walk around with jeans on and no t-shirt.
Yeah.
So he's walking around all hot. So he tries this jacket on. It was like a Jeff Gordon jacket or something. And the owner started yelling at him because he was all hot and sweaty. He had no shirt on. He put the jacket. The guy, no, you got to buy. You just put all your sweat stains are in there. And Craig got in a fight with him. We got thrown out of there. That's the last time I was at Columbus Market.
How long ago?
A long time ago.
Oh, my God. I think I drove him there in the Camaro I sold my brother. I was probably only 19 or 20 years old when I was there.
Wow.
Like 20 years ago. 25 years ago.
The meat is really good there, though.
Yeah, no, it is. It's worth it. All right. Anyway, so do we want to talk about racing?
This is what this show's about. Like I said before when we were talking last night, just throw up a topic and we'll talk about it. That's all.
If it's food, all the better.
Well, let's do the reviews and recommendations while they're fresh in my mind. Of course, Dale Jr.'s podcast, it's awesome. The dude Dale Jr. download. He did have not a bad one, but a kind of boring one last week. He had Clint Boyer on, and I thought that was going to be a lot better than it was. It really wasn't that great. Clint Boyer just kind of talked about his TV gig and stuff like that.
Clint Boyer's played out. Everybody's had him on now.
Yeah. But before that, a real good one was Jimmy Spencer. It was so good. It was a two-parter. He kind of reminded me, Joshua, when we had Doug French on this show. He was a little bit like Dale was trying to keep him on a timeline, and Jimmy Spencer was all over the place, kind of like when we had Doug French on here. We're trying to keep him to a timeline.
Well, because everything kind of
he rode a bicycle to his Cup start, and he skipped everything in between. We had to rein him back in.
But you figure a lot of the stories intertwine, or they have a little bit that's related to it. So without knowing the whole story, I could see how it could easily go off track. But
I mean, Jimmy Spencer was always very outspoken and always said what was on his mind. But now he has no ties to anything, no ties to sponsors, no ties to NASCAR, no ties to anything.
He can say what he wants.
He was brutally honest, man, and he was totally honest. Growing up, me and my brother, we of course, we were huge Richie Evans fans. We grew up in that era of modifieds, And Jimmy Spencer was one of Richie Evans' biggest challengers. I mean, he was probably only, one of the few that could really race wheel to wheel with Richie and many times beat him, And him and Richie didn't get along that great because Jimmy was a little on the rougher side where Richie didn't like the beating and banging. He raced a lot cleaner than Spencer. And another thing Richie Evans never did, he never fought with people in the pits after races where the Spencer clan did. Not saying Jimmy so much, but his brothers and even his sisters, They were
Larry.
Yeah, Larry. They were junkyard dogs, and there were just different styles. One cool story that Jimmy Spencer told on the podcast was when Richie died in '85. Everybody was kind of wanting that B.R. DeWitt deal, and Jimmy Spencer was promised it that winter to the point where they even bought cars and DeWitt was paying for it and all that stuff, and it was all through Ron Hutter. And then the engine builder, Ron Hutter, and then right before the season started, Ron Hutter called and said, Gene DeWitt's son just called me, and he
wanted an upstate New York driver.
He wanted an upstate New York driver, so they went with George Kent instead of Jimmy Spencer. So Jimmy Spencer wanted to really beat George Kent in the points that year. Mm-hmm. And he did. He won the points for like 281 points over George Kent that year. So that was a pretty good story. A lot of stories how he made it to the Cup, how he went down south with his own Bush car to get started and went broke a couple times. Just a lot of good stories. It was so good. It was to the point where it was a two-parter because it went so long. They also talk about Tim. They also talk about when every time the Cup guys were at Pocono, Ed Spencer, Jimmy's dad, he would have that junk car race at the junkyard.
Yeah.
And people like Tony Stewart would go, Dale Sr., and all of them would go and race at the junkyard. He had some really cool stories about that. And he said it got so carried away they had to stop doing it. It was getting to the point where people were flipping cars over. Then all the fans knew about it. So there's times there was couple thousand people there at the junkyard, and they didn't know any of them, you know. So it turned to a little fun barbecue picnic and beating on some cars to like this big event. I think, Tim, the one year they even had that on TV, didn't they?
Yeah, but it rained, and it got too muddy. They couldn't do it.
Yeah. So there was a lot of good stories about that.
The one thing that from that show that I got, and I remembered as a kid. Remember when he won that Martinsville and they told him his fuel cell was too big and they disqualified him?
Mm-hmm.
The one part that I didn't know about it, we were kids, or we were 10 years, 12 years old. That, and I don't know, you could go back and check, but during that interview, Jimmy Spencer claimed if he would have won that race, he would have won the championship that year. He would have beat Richie Evans.
Right?
Yeah. Because nobody ever beat Richie Evans until that point.
Yeah, he did say something about that he would have beat Richie that year. It's a good podcast. You know, it talks about it, and the real backstory to that is like, if you've been listening to Dale Jr.'s podcast, like from the early days of this podcast, he was asked one time, "Is there anybody in NASCAR he truly does not like cannot stand?" And Dale Jr. said, "Yeah, Jimmy Spencer." He was really mad at Jimmy Spencer back when Dale Jr. won at Daytona after his father passed away. It was a big win. It was a huge win. And everybody was like crying and emotional, and everybody was praising that Dale won, and that was so great and everything. And then when they interviewed Jimmy Spencer was like, something's fishy. That car is illegal. He passed the whole field all by himself. He didn't need drafting out. That car is illegal. So when everybody was being politically correct.
He said, like, didn't he say NASCAR gave him a bigger plate or something?
Yeah, gave him better restrictor plate. So
yeah.
Dale said that's bothered him his whole life. And what I learned through watching this podcast on Mike Davis, who is basically Dale Jr.'s right-hand man, and he's the co-host of that show as well. His first job in NASCAR was working with Jimmy Spencer with that R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. You know, when Jimmy Spencer had Camel Joe's and Winston and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Mike Davis, it was to the point where Mike Davis, in his office, he had a die-cast car of every team he worked for. So he had Jimmy Spencer cars in his office, and it got to the point where Dale Jr. didn't like Jimmy Spencer so much that he told Mike Davis he had to get the Jimmy Spencer cars out of his office. And so Mike Davis kind of snuck Jimmy Spencer in on Dale Jr. He set it all up so Jimmy Spencer would come in and do the show, you know. And I tell you what, Jimmy Spencer really never even apologized to him during the show. Like, they gave him a couple of opportunities. He kind of skipped right over it, you know. He still said that he kind of stuck to his guns. He's like, yeah, I think that car was illegal, you know?
Well, if you think, I mean, how much is it too perfect that, you know, to come back and make that win? It's too fairy tale.
And Dale Jr. had a rebuttal on that too. He's like, yeah, but I won Talladega too. Like, you know, I won on super speedways, you know, for a couple of years after that. You know what I'm saying? So you're saying I was illegal every time? He's like, no, we did our homework and our cars were, and he even said Michael Waltrip won in our cars. You know, like, we were fast at those tracks at that time, you know?
Yeah, no, that's
but
true.
then again, if you know the history of NASCAR, Jimmy Spencer won twice on super speedways in the
same. Yeah, not the greatest of drivers usually win the Daytona 500.
And that whole theory was because he won Talladega and Daytona within a month apart.
He was cheating.
He was cheating, and they said NASCAR let him cheat because McDonald's was threatening. They had McDonald's sponsorship with Junior Johnson and Jimmy Spencer, and it was the largest sponsorship in NASCAR. And McDonald's was threatening to pull out if they didn't get a win soon, and that was big money trickle-down effect, you know, through NASCAR by having all that money in there, and NASCAR didn't want to lose the McDonald's money, so supposedly they let them run like an illegal intake. Then Jimmy Spencer said, listen, I drove that car, I won that race, and I only beat Ernie Irvin by a fender. If I was cheating, then Ernie Irvin's car was illegal too, and my car passed tech, so I won. So Dale Jr. said, well, I passed tech too, so I won. You know, like, it's good. Yeah, it's a real good show, you know. Take the time to listen to it.
Well, I also think, what was it? Remember when Danica got the pole for the 500? And I'm like,
for her first time out too. Like, it was the big crossover from Indy to NASCAR, and it was just like, oh boy, this is
like, how set up did that feel? You know?
Yeah.
And
there's been a few things in NASCAR that feel set up. You know?
Yeah, and the only saving grace to it is I don't care who gets the pole for the 500. It doesn't matter because it's all about drafting. It's it's being in the right place at the right time. Great. You had a fast car when nobody
Single
else
car
was around.
qualifying at Daytona was the absolute most boringest thing you can ever go to in motorsports.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. So, but
They
it
might as
just
well just set the cars on a chassis dyno, and whoever shows the most horsepower, just give them the pole. Like, don't even waste going out on the racetrack.
that's all it
you know
is.
what I'm saying?
That's all it is. I agree. So that's why I always said, they need heat races or pack or group qualifying for the super speedways, because then you're going to be with other cars and drafting, and it actually makes sense.
Or just keep what they did doing COVID. Don't even have qualifying. Just line them up and go.
I'm okay with that. It's more fun.
But that was a real good one, and I'm real excited for tomorrow, because it might even be posted right now. But tomorrow when I'm driving around my tow truck, the next guest on the Dale Jr. download, which I think is going to be awesome, is Jimmy Smut Means.
Oh, cool.
Jimmy Means is a longtime independent NASCAR car owner and driver. He's done it all, seen it all. He even had a shot at driving for Hendrick when Tim Richmond was going through his illness, and he was qualified real good, and he was running real good in the race. But unfortunately, he wrecked real early in the race and never got a chance to show what he had, and that was the only chance he had at the big time. The story behind that is growing up at the racetrack, Dale Sr. was really kind of not very nice to Dale Jr. being around. Even like the Richard Childress race team, they didn't want Dale Jr. around. They were there to race and win a championship, and they were busy racing. Where Jimmy Means said, Dale, come help me. I need help. I got no guys. You can do whatever you want over here. So Dale Jr. would actually help Jimmy Means. He would help wipe the cars down and help him in the pits, and he became best friends with Jimmy Means' son, Brad Means. So he ended up helping Jimmy Means when he was 12, 13 years old, rather than help his dad, because his dad was so busy and they didn't need him over there. And here's Jimmy Means, an independent guy with no help. And I'm waiting to see if they talk about this, but I heard this, years past. I might even read it in Dale Jr.'s book. But Jimmy Means, those red shop rags, Josh?
Okay.
That everybody uses.
Mm-hmm.
In the garage area, I guess they used to, the big teams would just throw them on the ground and stuff like that, and they'd be laying all over the place. He used to give Dale Jr. and Brad Means, his son, a nickel a piece for a rag. So if they walked around the pits and picked up clean rags and brought them back and put them in a bag, so he would have. That's how he got his shop rags.
He got a bunch of free rags.
For 5 cents a piece or whatever. They gave the kids something to do, and they earned a little bit of money, and he got shop rags. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because those things can get costly. Yeah. It's funny. It reminds me of you guys, that story you told about you guys cleaning the airplanes and getting a free ride.
Right. We it's going to be really interesting, because I know it's going to be an emotional podcast for Dale Jr. because he's so close to the Means family, and I even heard through people we know down there that Dale Jr.'s have, because Jimmy Means has that small Xfinity team now. It's the Car 52. He's have David Starr driving for him. I don't know if David Starr still drives for him now, but supposedly Dale Jr. gives him a lot of their leftover parts and stuff from Junior Motorsports, like old motors and headers and stuff like that, and tires and stuff like that. So it's going to be a good one. I'm waiting to hear from it. Josh, tell us the story how Jimmy Smut Means became known as Smut.
The Smut Hut.
Of course, Jimmy Means is. He was a driver and everything, but he was more a mechanic, and he built his own motors and cars and everything like that. And the big guy back in the day, at doing stuff like that, was Smokey Unick. He had the name Smokey. So somebody just came along and said one time, "Well, you'll never be no Smokey Unick. You're not good enough, so we'll just call you Smut." So instead of Smokey, his name was Smut. That's how he got that name.
I heard out in Pemberton there's a tow truck driver named Booper.
I heard in North Carolina they don't have Uber, they have Goober. There's just some guy named Goober that drives around and picks you up. You just got to call him.
Goober and Gomer. Okay.
All right, Tim, you've been watching the Dale Jr. show, The Lost Speedways, on the Peacock app, right? That's the only way you can watch that show right now?
Actually, yeah, the second episode, second season. They've been showing the first season on, NBCSN,
Okay.
randomly. you can catch it on there. Yeah, the second season they just released it's the whole season. It's 6 episodes, and you can watch all 6 episodes right now on the Peacock network on the app. It's a little tricky at first to figure out. It's like anything else. You got to figure out how to navigate it. But once you can find the search engine, just type in Lost Speedways and it'll come up. And then you have to click on season 2, and then they're all in line. It's good. The first one was, I think the first one was, actually, I got it on my phone. They went to the Daytona Speedway, I think was the first one, on the beach, the road course.
Oh, really? Like the North Turn and all that stuff?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Tim, I told you to have this stuff ready.
I got it.
You knew this was your big segment. Here's your chance.
The first one was Daytona Beach and Road Course. The second one was Pennsboro Speedway. The third one was San Antonio Speedway. Then Columbia Speedway, Texas World Speedway. Out of Rhett Speedway, that's one, and we were talking about before. Yeah, and then Cleveland County Fairgrounds, and then Myrtle Beach.
So how many episodes is that? That's quite a bit.
6, I think. And they're all interesting. Like the first one they go to, and they actually, I never knew it, and I've been there 100 times. And every year we would go, the North Turn is, they don't even say this in the show, but the North Turn was where you got paid, was the payout box.
Oh, really? The restaurant was actually there?
Yeah, that was there. And then where the turn, and then there's a road between that and the condo. I always thought that was the turn. That's not the turn. They actually show an overhead view of the restaurant, and then that alleyway is there, and then the turn was actually where the condo is that's built next to it. So the turn actually went through columns 3 and 4 of the condo that's built there. And then everybody thinks that A1A was the road. It wasn't. There was a road between where the houses are now and A1A. There was a road there. That was the road. And they show us there's like a half-mile section of that road left. That's all that's left from it. So technically, when you drive down A1A, you're riding alongside where the track used to be.
Okay.
That was the most interesting thing about that one. And then they go in, the one where they go to Myrtle Beaches, that's where Dale Earnhardt started racing. And they show it all tore down, and he gets all emotional about that one. My favorite one was the Pennsboro Speedway. That was a good one. They about the heyday. There's a river that runs through the infield, and the track actually has 3 bridges on it. It's an old track with 3 bridges that they go underneath the river.
Hey, if it works.
Yeah, they're good. If you get to watch them, they're all good. They all have different stories of why they close. They tell you why they close and what happened there. So it's a good read, or a good watch, I should say.
So
they're short too, right, Tim? They're not real long, are they?
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
When's Dale Jr. coming out to the Pine Barrens?
Well, they already did the one in New Jersey. The first episode they went to what's that place in Patterson, Scott? Is that what that is?
Oh, Hinchliffe?
Yeah,
they've been there. Yeah, they've been there.
Well, I mean, they could do Old Bridge or whatever, but you can still walk Anatol.
Yeah, to me it seems like the show they actually right now. I mean, maybe it goes into its 10th season, but right now they're more focusing on where they can go, and the tracks are still there. Right, there's something to show you. You know what I mean?
I think there's one by Atco. There's still asphalt there. There's trees growing up through it, but there's asphalt.
Yeah. That would be more of a focus now. But right now they're still doing the ones where the grandstands are still there, and they're haven't been closed for 1,000 years.
Okay,
but you got to be able to see something. You know what I'm saying?
When you
go to these places.
What do you call one? The Texas World Speedway is a good one to watch. They're all good to watch. You got to watch every one of them, but that's an interesting one too.
I got to put that app back on my phone. I was having trouble with my phone charging, so I deleted a lot of my apps to try to get my phone working better. And Peacock, the Peacock app was one of the ones I deleted because I only put it on my phone to watch the Dale Jr. Lost Speedways ones, and I watched all the episodes. So then I took it on my phone. And I got to reinstall it.
You gotta clean your camera too.
Why's that?
I don't know. Your pictures are foggy.
Yeah, that picture I put on Facebook today. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was hot out, man. It was in my pocket, sweating.
Real quick.
Josh, real quick. The peacock. What do you call a female peacock?
Peahen? I don't know.
Peahen. Yeah. So there is no female peacock. It's a peahen and a peacock. So peacock is the male and peahen is the female. That's the educational portion of our show today.
Yeah, no cashews today. We got.
A lot of people don't know that answer, Josh. I say that all the time. That's why
I was going to say something else, but it's the key word.
Like one of my dad jokes, and a lot of people don't know that. I'm pretty impressed.
I was going to say this. It was going to be P, and then the C word that you're not allowed to say in front of a woman.
Yeah. So my recommendation and review is I just want to. I mean, I started getting into iRacing. I know I mentioned it, but is now the time to buy like used iRacing gear? Now,
yeah, because it got real big in the COVID. Now nobody wants them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are going back where they don't have time for it.
It's summertime. Tim, that's like slot car racing. Remember, kids, everybody would sell their slot car stuff in the summertime, and then in the winter, like it would spike again. Everybody wanted slot cars again. Now iRacing's the thing. Come winter,
I see iRacing that back. I see iRacing rigs like on Facebook Marketplace now. Guy says like I paid $5,000. He wants like $1,500 for it because nobody wants it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They take up a lot of real estate. Those things, man.
Yeah, look, I'm sitting here running the show with the laptop and the mixer here, but my iRacing, and then I have to unbolt this wheel and shifter here, and that's to put my flight yoke, so I can do Flight Simulator on that. I mean, the computer is good and all, but yeah, again, I can't even sit comfortably at the laptop really unless I hunch over. But yeah, no, it was just a thought. Like, is it a good time to, if you want to get into it? Yeah, I'd say if a lot of people are selling stuff, get in on it while you can. But
see, my problem is I got to buy two. If I buy one, then the other twin's I need to buy two. I can't just buy one.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I do want to talk a little bit about racing. That's our little segment on recommendations and reviews. So you got the Jimmy Spencer 2-parter Dale Jr. download. You got Jimmy Smut Means coming on this week, and on the Peacock channel, it's like a word Dale Jr.'s PR group here. Dale Jr. Lost Speedways on the Peacock app. It's the only place you can see it right now is on through the app. I kind of want to move on to a little bit of NASCAR racing. I did watch it this weekend. We didn't do much this week, and I worked on the race cars. I put valve springs on Nancy's car one day while the Xfinity race is on, and then I put valve springs on my Blue 09, new valve springs in that car while the Cup race was on. I did watch the SRX race too. I think that was Saturday night. But how did you guys feel about 4th of July weekend, and there was no racing at Daytona? We were racing at a road course out in Wisconsin at Road America.
I was camping.
Honestly, a lot of people don't like the road course racing, but it's got America in the name. What's the name of the place?
America. Yep.
So, and they, as in Pocono, they pretty much sold out all the camping there. You barbecue, you camp, you watch a race, and it's a good time.
It kind of fit in for the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
I agree with you. You kind of took the thought right out of my head. At first, I was like disappointed because here I'm out in my garage and the races come on a little late, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that. So I'm like, this is perfect. I can work on the race cars, go in the house, clean up, make dinner, watch the races. And I was kind of disappointed it wasn't like a 7 p.m. start and we're not at Daytona. And then when I got watching the road course race, I felt the same way as Tim. I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful racetrack. A little narrow, though. Did you see how narrow that racetrack is?
Yeah.
When Chase Elliott was doing donuts at the end of the race, like his car was pretty much taking up the whole front straightaway.
It's like trying to do a donut in your driveway.
Yeah, exactly. But like Tim said, what a beautiful racetrack. It's basically a racetrack in the middle of like almost like a state park, And like Pocono, I can even talk about that too because I went to Pocono. Camping was sold out. Road courses are beautiful. You just kind of set up camp in one of the corners, and that's where you watch the race, and hang out. and it seemed like a perfect place for a holiday weekend like that, where barbecuing is popular. You know, like a Memorial Day or Labor Day or 4th of July weekend. So,
and they had Johnsonville. Johnsonville was there, giving out brats to everybody, and
I love Johnsonville brats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of towards the end, I was kind of okay with it being there and not Daytona. I enjoyed the race. I thought it was pretty racy. It was cool seeing Kurt Busch run good again. It was good seeing Ross Chastain run good after their announcement that their team got sold to Trackhouse. It was cool watching Alex Bowman just slam in the back of Kyle Larson for Josh and dump him. It was an enjoyable race. I liked the Xfinity race too. There was a lot of cars there. I know some cars didn't even qualify. I know Josh's favorite driver, Nell Decker, she was like the slowest in practice by a lot too, not by a little, by a lot. Like she was like a second slower than the slowest car, not the fastest car. You know, so she struggled a little bit there.
Yeah, and then Boris said didn't qualify.
Yeah, he was in a lesser team. I mean, Natalie was with our Motorsports, was just a pretty decent Xfinity team. I think Boris said was in one of Carl Long's cars. Which I saw Carl Long's team at Pocono, and they basically, their Xfinity stuff comes in like, you know, not put them down, but they come in pickups and small trailers and stuff like that. You know, he brings a lot of race cars to the track. I think he had 4 or 5 Xfinity cars at Road Atlanta. Plus he brings 2 Cup cars too. So he does a lot with a little, but you know, it's a smaller team. They run older cars and stuff like that. So Boris, you know, and Boris is getting old now too. You know, I think someone said he was in his 60s now, and he hasn't raced in a few years. And I guess they were hoping to put him in a little bit lesser car, but his road course talents could make up the difference and get him into the race. But it was too much for him to overcome, you know, and he didn't make the race. Josh, you got the results from any of these races?
No, so I was looking at the wall schedule. I apologize.
Yeah, if you can look up the Xfinity results, we'll do the top 10 in the Xfinity race. We'll do the top 10 in the Cup race. I heard they were already selling tickets for next year up there. So this seems like this might have been where this race is going to land on 4th of July weekend. It was pretty cool. They did show, like, I think the last time they raced there was in like 1952 when NASCAR was there. And dude, they were basically street legal cars going around that racetrack. It was pretty cool. They showed some clips of it. I thought that was really neat. You know, like Studebakers and stuff like that with the windshield still in them and stuff like that. It's a different part of the country for NASCAR, so they're hitting a different market. I think it's a home run that they went to this. I don't want to see any more road courses, but I'm glad this one got in while the road course racing was hot. It's a new venue. It's a new area. I thought it was pretty cool. And I'll tell you what, I might put it on my bucket list to try to make it to one of those races. I thought it was pretty neat.
They said the town was all into it too. You know, everywhere you went to restaurants, everybody was glad you were there. And
I tell you what, that was the feel I had at Pocono too. Like it felt good to be at Pocono. Real quick, while Josh is looking up those results, when I was at Pocono, they had 3,300. Josh. 3,300 camping sites, and they were sold out.
Yeah, how big were the sites though?
Huge, Josh.
Really?
I sent my brother pictures. I had a pull-through site, and I had my dually. You know, I got a long dually with the 8-foot bed and the full crew cab. I got a 24-foot camper plus the tongue, so that's another 3 feet. So that's 27 foot. And I could have fit, like, if you would have showed up, you could have pulled your pickup truck in behind, and we still would have been in the same spot.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's spacious there. That's one thing I like about Pocono. I know people complain that it's not the best track to watch a race from the grandstands at, but they have the room. You know, it's a 2.5 mile track, huge infield, plenty of room for camping. And here's the trick. When you go to watch a Cup race at Pocono, just buy a seat where you're in front of one of those jumbotrons. You know, this way when they're on the back straightaway, you watch them on the jumbotron. And when they come by, you see them when they come by. You see everything on pit road. It was real enjoyable for us being at Pocono. We were in the 200 section. We were very top row before you get into that 300 section where it's the shaded grandstands.
Could you have seen anything from your campsite if you stayed there?
Oh, yeah. People sit on top. And that's where people were like, oh, you know, they're saying it's sold out, but you know there's empty seats in the grandstands. Josh, I had tickets for the Cup race. You got to remember it was double weekend, so there was 2 Cup races, and each day, you there was a truck race, then there was like an hour break, and then it went to a cup race. Then there was the Sunday, there was the Xfinity race, an hour break, and then into the cup race. So me and Nancy had tickets for everything, but we went and watched the truck race. During the hour break, we said, let's go back to the camper, make lunch, hang out for a little bit, cool off. And then, tell you the truth, we never went back to watch the cup race on the grandstand side. We watched it from the infield. It was pretty cool. We kind of watched it by the tunnel turn. There's a big hill there, and you can see him coming down the Long Pond straightaway and through the tunnel turn and down the short chute going into the parade.
You probably see more there. Probably see more there. You do in the grandstands.
No, I wouldn't say that. But so that day we just didn't, because we were up there for the truck race, and it's a big party in the infield. Everybody's got big TVs and screens going on. You're watching the race there. There's even jumbotrons in the camping area. You can watch the race. We didn't really need to go back over to the grandstands, but on Sunday we did. On Sunday we watched the Xfinity race, and because the Xfinity race was longer than the truck race, there was a little shorter break between the cup race. So that's when we took a minute and walked through Fan Fest. Between the Xfinity race, we went out because the trailers are back, which is cool. It's no more this
that big tent thing. Yeah.
The trailers are back. They had a whole Fan Fest thing set up. So during the intermission in between the Xfinity race and the cup race, we walked through Fan Fest and everything. And didn't mention Danny Bowen real quick. He was there signing autographs with his sponsor out in Fan Fest. And he had a tough weekend, man. He did a lot and not much to show for it. And he was at Pocono for the truck race. And unfortunately, on the first pit stop, he broke the drive shaft. So he was done. So he flew back to Bowman Gray to race his modified. He wrecked his modified bad. He went up over the wall and landed in between the guardrail and the grandstands. So he didn't have much to show for his efforts there. And then he came all the way back to Pocono for the Fan Fest stuff to sign autographs for his sponsor. So he had a pretty busy weekend. He's putting the work in, and I hope things turn around for him a little bit better. But we had a great time. And then we went back in the grandstands for the cup stuff, for all the pre-race stuff, the flyover and all that stuff. Josh, all that stuff's back now, the flyover stuff. All that stuff's back now. Driver introductions, all that stuff. And we watched the cup race. We had a great time. It was a real enjoyable day. The weather was perfect. The only thing weird that's not 100% yet at the cup race is I'm used to camping in the infield at Pocono, and then 7:30 in the morning, you woke up by race cars out on the track blowing by you. Well, the Cup guys and the Xfinity guys and the truck guys, they didn't have practice or nothing. Just the ARCA cars had practice. So that stuff wasn't going on yet, and the Cup didn't have qualifying or anything like that. But what they did to fill that gap of, dead time on the track was they let the fans go out on the racetrack. There's kids out riding their bicycles on the track, and you could walk the track. There's people like Tim out there jogging at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. They left Sharpie markers on the front straightaway on the start-finish line. You could sign your name on the start-finish line. It was pretty cool. The campers really seemed to enjoy that. There's people out there roller skating, skateboarding, taking pictures. It was a good time. It was
I heard there was a love note left on the front stretch.
Yeah, I saw something that said Eric Brennan loves hot dogs. Huh. I wasn't sure what I wanted to write, Josh. I wasn't sure if I wanted to write Eric Brennan loves hot dogs or Eric Brennan didn't invite me to his wedding. I was having trouble which one to choose. I want the hot dog. In honor of you, Josh, I want the hot dog route.
Yeah, okay.
Did you see Morgan Shepherd? Was he out there roller booking?
I heard Morgan Shepherd's not doing too good. I'm hearing he's got Parkinson's.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So I heard he's struggling a little bit. Now he wasn't there, nor his race team or anything like that.
And one thing about the camping, did they give you, like, if you wanted to bring an extra car, did you have a pass to get the car in and out of the track?
Yeah, they had a word. It was called a support vehicle. So basically, if you have a motorhome and you tow in like a Jeep, you got a pass for your support vehicle. So yeah, you could have got extra passes and stuff like that. I tell you what, don't fall for this though. We didn't fall for it, thank God. They had something called a return pass. Like if you wanted to leave the infield, you had to buy a $25 pass for your windshield to leave and come back. We never bought one, and we drove in and out of there all weekend long. So don't buy that extra $25 pass.
Jeez.
The tow vehicle pass on your dually?
Yeah, the tow vehicle pass on my dual. Maybe that's for an extra pass, Tim. Like if you came up, maybe you would have needed it for your car, but I didn't have it. But
And
Josh, when we arrived at the track, it was 2 hour. It was 2 hours to get into the infield. It
Oh,
almost
yeah.
took us so long to get from the front gate into the infield that it took for us to drive up there from New Jersey. It just
so you just had to wait in line to get your passes? Is that how it worked?
it was like a regular campground, like a check-in. They pull you in from 115 at the main entrance, and Tim, it was backed up, and they had 7 lines open, and that's where you had to pull in. We got tickets through the mail, so we just had to hand them our thing, and they scanned it, and all our stuff came up.
But they had people like waving you, directing you, right?
Yeah, they had all lanes and lines. I tell you what, it was a beautiful day. If it would have rained that day on check-in day, they would have had problems because you're in the dirt up there in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And even when it would dry out from all the traffic going through, it was starting to get a little mushy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If it would have rained, they would have had problems because those big motorhomes would have started getting stuck. You know, a lot of people complain about that, but how do you check in 3,300 people in one shot? You know, like
and even if
for what they were up against, I thought it was pretty organized. But yeah, it does suck. You travel up there 3 hours and then you got to wait 2 hours to get. You know, we pulled into Pocono at 6:08. And we pulled into our camp spot at 8:08. It was exactly 2 hours it took me to get into my camp spot from there.
I get it. I mean, at best they could try to open it a bit earlier, but most of the people are
Wednesday. They didn't allow you to come in at until 9 a.m. Thursday morning. They should. I mean, I looked at other racetracks. I looked at New Hampshire in 2 weekends, and you can basically bring your camper there the Monday before. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I was even thinking
Tim knows it from racing at Thompson. A lot of those New Englanders, they'll bring their camper there on Monday, drop it off, and go home, and then come back Thursday and Friday, and it's already there.
Then there's sometimes that they'll take their camper from Stafford on one night and bring it to Thompson the night after the race and sits there all week until the next race.
Okay. So the only thing I can see, I don't know why Pocono didn't let you pull until Thursday. Like they should open it up like Tuesday or Wednesday. This way, maybe some of the local people, like we just talked about, will bring their campers there and then go home, and then that's less campers that are in line. You know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, just like they do for Turkey Derby, and then just have security for a couple.
But then,
nights.
like Friday morning, there was I'm on this Pocono racetrack camping Facebook page. Now Friday morning, people that showed up Friday morning, they pulled right in because the brunt of the
everybody was over there
already. You know, it's just. And they said what happened now is this by far this was the most campers they ever had by far. But you got to remember they used to have 2 events. You know, now one weekend. So now there's no more. All right, well, this family comes in June, but they don't come in July. Then we have families that come in July but don't come in June. Now everybody's coming on the same weekend. You know, so. And
if you had just all over the place race fans, kind of like myself, who watch anything, you lost your IndyCar people. Or people that maybe went to that instead because it was less crowded. But now
Josh,
don't have a choice.
What they were promoting up there big time, and I might look at my calendar. Maybe we can take a ride up there and check it out. What they're promoting now, because they did lose that IndyCar race, they have a big weekend. I think it's August 21st and 22nd. They're having a huge air show there. That might be something you and your father might be.
Yeah. Going to. Oh, I love airplanes.
Because there's a big military air base up there in Wilkes-Barre.
Somebody was saying that they were trying to get a Jeep Jamboree weekend there. They were going to make like a mud bog in the infield, and you can camp
cool too.
And all the trails that you said that you went on. Yeah. They were going to do something with that.
Like a whole off-roading thing.
You didn't hear anything about that?
No, I didn't hear anything about that. They were, like I said, they were promoting this air show thing to the point where they're going to land planes right on the front straightaway, and like you sit in the grandstands and everything.
Guys, I know Millville helps with the air show down there because they have all those grandstands and clubs and stuff that you can go and here watch it from this deck or whatever, and you can go watch the air show. And I'd like to do that too.
But what I want to say is that if you haven't been to Pocono in the last 10 or 15 years, really give it a shot again, because the grandkids took it over because Rose and Joe Mattioli passed away, and now the grandkids are on it. And 9 times out of 10, when grandkids take over a family business, they run in the ground. But let me tell you, it's almost like this track needed this. They needed these young kids to come in No, not even young. I'm just a younger generation to come in and update the place, and they really have. They really cleaned that place up. It's beautiful. Like here I am with my own camper area, with my own bathroom and everything, and they had like bathhouses in the infield. I actually walked over there and took a shower, and the place was spotless. They had people in there. Tim, like if you went into the bath, the toilet stall and used the toilet, as soon as you walked out, someone went in there with a mop and Lysol and sprayed it down, wiped it down before the next person went in. Like
that's
they
dedication.
Really did a great job. Yeah. I don't know if it was a COVID thing or if it something had to do for COVID or they were just keeping the place clean. But I tell you what, it's still got the old Pennsylvania rustic feel a little bit to it, but they've cleaned it up a lot.
I feel sorry for the guy that had to go in after Elliot took a dump in there and clean it all up.
I tell you what, man, like I've never been a big partier, but just being there all day in the heat, and then it got cold at night, so you're windburned and sunburned, and then it got down to one night it got down to 58 degrees. And you're just up all day, up all night. Like, I didn't feel that great, and I don't drink. You walk by some of these campsites, Josh, all they were doing was eating and drinking. I'm like, how are these people not puking? Like, it's like you'd walk by some of these campsites, Josh, and there would literally be like 2 55-gallon drums filled with like empty beer cans. You know what I'm saying?
I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
And like chicken wings and, like Johnsonville brats we just talked about, cheeseburgers, food all over, nachos, buffalo chicken dips. And
you're making me hungry. Stop.
Half those people they don't watch the race the next day.
No, you know what? You do see a few people leave like Sunday morning, like the party's over for them. Saturday.
Speaking of food, did you get pierogies?
Yeah, we did. We got pierogies. I got a thing of pierogies and a large Diet Coke. It was $11, and it was 4 pierogies, nothing special. They were like the Mrs. T's type pierogies, and the Diet Coke had more like, what's it, the seltzer or the carbon, whatever. It was a fountain drink.
Oh, it had more of the seltzer than the syrup.
Yeah, the fizzy syrup.
Josh, the reason why I asked Scott that back in the day when the Race of Champions used to be there literally was like a little mom and pop, like a trailer that you would see at your normal fair, where it just said, it said pierogies and with a paper plate with pierogies written on it, and there was 2 old Dutch ladies in there, Amish Dutch people, and the line would be longer for that than anything else. The pierogies were so good there.
I mean, the pierogies were decent. Me and Nancy bought it to split it, and she ate 3 and I ate 1, so I don't know.
Pierogies, they had kielbasa sandwiches there too, if I remember right.
They had all that stuff. They had all that stuff. The big seller up there now with the potatoes, Tim, it's called Tricky the Fox. Tricky the Fox.
Yeah.
It's got Tricky's garbage can fries. It's like a little garbage can. It's filled with French fries. That was the big seller up there.
There's no way that can't be good.
I had to buy 2 Tricky Fox plushies when I was there with the twins back in the day.
Yeah, they said, here's a funny story. I walk up to the souvenir trailer in the infield, and I bought a coffee mug, a Pocono coffee mug, Pocono Raceway coffee mug. Somehow I started collecting coffee mugs. So I bought a Pocono
Show
Raceway
it to
coffee
us.
mug. And it's in my camper. I left it in the camper at the campground. When I bought it, and this was on Thursday. No, it was on Friday morning I bought the coffee mug. So it's the beginning of the weekend. Like, the crowd's really just getting there now. And she's like, well, that's the last black one. They had black ones and red ones. And I said, really? She's like, yeah, you didn't hear what happened? I'm like, no, what's up? She's like, because they only got notified a month ago that they were going to be allowed to open up 100% capacity.
Yeah.
So that made the souvenirs, because they didn't order souvenirs,
The ones from last year?
Yeah, they were selling programs from last year, because last year they bought everything and then they weren't allowed to have fans. So they had everything. So now they were put a mad rush on to order everything for the souvenirs, this, say 2021 and, the doubleheader weekend and all this stuff with the dates, the event dates. They never got it in time. They were promised it by Wednesday, and on Wednesday they got a thing saying it was stuck in California, and they had no way getting it over to Pocono until next Wednesday.
Oh.
So all their souvenirs and stuff. She said it was a good thing and a bad thing. She said the good thing was they sold all their old inventory. they were just bringing stuff out. Tim, they were bringing stuff out like Biffle on and stuff like that. Yeah,
Cam 2 hats.
Oh yeah, they were bringing all the old stuff out, and it was selling. People were still buying like old seat cushions. Like they were supposed to be white. They were like gray. Like they were. She's like, we sold all our old anything that said Pocono on, we sold it. So that was the good thing. The bad thing is they're probably just getting their new shipment now.
They have to buy nothing for next year. They got it all.
Yeah, but they don't have a second race, and it says 2000.
Yeah. The date's going to be wrong.
The dates. So what they were telling everybody, keep an eye on our online store. We're going to be selling everything for this event on our online store within the next week or two, as soon as we get it.
I get that. They got to try, but man, I mean, who's going to go online after? You got to buy it while you're there.
I tell you what,
Three-quarters of that stuff is impulse buys.
There's a lot of time me and Nancy go up to the souvenir trailers, and we don't feel like carrying the stuff. And Nancy will just look at me. She's like, Scott, I'll just order it Monday when I get home.
I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, going to the lost speedways, when they go to Texas World Speedway, they go in and they break into an old storage shed on the property, and it's filled with boxes of seat cushions from when the track was still open. They're all yellow.
Every year, I'm telling you, I really love camping at Pocono. It's awesome. They do such a great job. They have like a little setup in the middle, and they call it something like fan area or something like that. I don't know, but that's where the stage is. That's where the stage is for the concerts they have on at night. They put on such a good party there, Josh.
My name is Kid. Sorry.
They had this band called M80. They were like a cover band, and they really did a great job. And I mean, dude, it's like being at a real concert, like full stage, full light show, pyrotechnics, the whole deal, and a lot of people were there partying, and they have all food trailers and souvenir trailers like around the whole perimeter of the place, and like bull riding, like the fake bull riding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hatchet throwing and all that corny stuff, But what they do have is and Nancy always has to drag me out of this place. They have these 2 tents that sells old stuff, like just old NASCAR stuff. Like nothing organized, just thrown out on tables.
I find the same guy.
Tupperware totes and covered in dust, half ripped open. Basically, make an offer, you can buy it.
That guy's at all the race. He goes to all the racetracks.
I'll sit in there for hours digging through that stuff. She's like, let's go, man.
I mean, to be fair, your dad had a lot of old, stuff. I loved going through that too.
Stuff and
he goes to all the races.
And, Jimmy Spencer in the Campbell Joe's car, like just old, and I'll just dig it. Dude, my hands are filthy after digging. Like, I don't know where they keep that stuff, but they just drag it out and throw it out there and people buy it.
I swear that guy was at Motorsports.
Yeah. He's at everywhere. He's everywhere there.
It's like Greg Sachs flags when he drove for the Jasper car and stuff like that. What really irks her is I'll dig through it and look at it all, but I never buy nothing. I just want to see what's there.
Oh wow, this is cool.
You're looking for that one Rich Evans sticker at the bottom of the box.
I never quite found out. I always find a bunch of cool stuff, and I'll set it aside, and I just walk away and leave it sitting there. But anyway, you got the results from Road America there, Josh?
I've had them, but we went off on a 20-minute tangent. So Senor Bush wins, followed by Hemrick, Annette.
Let me interrupt you real quick, Josh. That's kind of a crazy story because
all right, let's hear it.
Kyle Busch has been saying for the last couple of years, he's sick of people saying, oh, he can only win an Xfinity Series. He's cherry picking. He's stealing these guys' money, blah, blah, blah. So he said, listen, I win 100 races, I retire. I want to win 100 races in the Xfinity. And I think he said like 75 in the trucks or maybe even 100 there. I don't know what it is. So this year he signed up to do 5 races. And I think he needed 1 or 2 wins in the Xfinity Series to get to his 100. Well, he raced a couple weeks ago, and he won, and that was his 100th win. Mm-hmm. So everybody's like, oh, that's it, you're retired, you can't run no more. But on his contract,
he's got 2 more.
Yeah. He's got 2 more races. So now that was his 100th and 1 win. So he got an extra win out of the deal because he has to finish out his contract. He even says, as far as he knows, who knows, Joe Gibbs might have 5 races sold for him next year. It's up to them,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All you guys. I'll go to get to 100. I'll retire. I'll get to Scott Ringwood story.
You know what kills me about that though? Like here he is, like he gets blasted for winning this Xfinity race, but then a couple weeks ago, Ryan Preece wins a truck race, and he's the world's greatest thing because he won the truck race, and he's a Cup driver.
because he's newer. But I still say F that guy.
That's how good you got to be from you finish third, and everybody's like, Kyle Busch finished third. He sucks. He only finished third. I'm like, yeah, he only finished third.
I like the other the truck race. It might have been right at Pocono. I don't know. I was in the D's that whole weekend, but it was Pocono because I was sitting in the grandstands. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm just so glad Kyle Busch didn't win. Screw him. I'm so happy John Hunter and Niebercheck won." I'm like, dipshit. That's Kyle Busch's truck. So basically, Kyle Busch won too. So
the money still ends up going to.
I think that I don't know.
When you sit in the grandstands, you got your true race fans, and then you just got people that just wandered into a racetrack because that's where the party is, and you listen to them people talk. And you know what? I can't really say anything. That'd be like me going to a college football game. Like I don't know anything about the college football, but I can sit through. I can have a conversation about NFL because I know NFL. So now, if you're sitting at a truck race or an Xfinity race, you get the diehard Cup guy, but knows nothing about anything of the lower series. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Oh, well, you see, there's a car, and they put tires on it.
I don't know if it was the truck race that you were talking about, but a couple weeks ago I was watching a truck race, and Joe Nemechek, is that the kid's name? What's the kid's name? John Hunter. He's leading the race. Kyle Busch comes from like half a straightaway back, pulls up on his bumper and running around his bumper, and then all of a sudden fades back like 10 car lengths.
And that's kind of what happened at Pocono.
Yeah,
too.
I think I go. He might have let him win that race.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think I could see a pattern here.
It makes more. He makes more money finishing second and having his truck win than he does.
Yeah. My wife's very outgoing. She can talk to anybody, and she does talk to anybody. We had a group of drunk guys sitting in front of us at the Cup race, and so one of the guys became our best friends and basically sat right in between us, you know. And I had the hardest time explaining to him that the guy in front is not the leader; he's a lap car. Like I literally had to draw on the bleacher with my fingers how the lap car. I'm like, no, that guy's last. No, he's leading. Look, the 19 car, which was Truex, is second. I'm like, no, he's leading. He's lapping the guy. It took me 15 minutes to explain to him that why the 52 car of Cody Ware was not leading that race. And
everything's great.
That the scoreboard was right that the 19 car was leading. Some people new to racing can't grasp that lap car thing, you know.
I mean, I remember when I had that issue. I was probably 5.
2.
Yeah. I mean,
this guy was 30 and he was drinking Coors Heavies. I never heard him called that instead of Coors Light. He was drinking Coors. He's called them Coors Heavies.
So original Coors is now Coors Heavy. Okay, all right. That's going on the list. Oh my God!
Yeah, Josh, sorry I interrupted you, but you can do the top 10 of the Xfinity race from Road.
Yes, sir. I will get. I got to reopen the window. There it is.
By the way, Kyle Busch won that race with the ARCA team. That was good.
Cool. He thanked Mark McFarlane, and he thanked it was basically the Ty Gibbs ARCA team.
Yep.
Which is basically a Cup team. So what's the difference?
Yeah, but everybody sees he's out there in the best team.
Kyle Busch said he was also the 5th Gibbs car in that race.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gibbs had 5 cars in that.
All right.
Gibbs has a big presence at the racetrack. Like it's really him and Hendrick are the big players now, you know.
I just want to. So let's go back to the top 10 here. As we talked about, Busch winning, then Hemrick, Annette, Allmendinger, Burton, Harvick, Herbst, Cindric, Gregson, and Haley. Anyone else we need to? Let's see. Decker. She finished 32nd out of 36.
He must have gotten in by points because no way she made it in by time.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Well, there's only 36 cars.
Oh, really? No, cars went home. Cars went home, Josh. They
Oh,
sent
really?
5 cars home because Boris said didn't make it. They only started 36. They got to bump that up now.
How did Boris said not make it?
We talked earlier in the show. He's with that Carl Long team.
I know. I'd like to think that even underperforming team when it comes to, just,
Well, he was fast enough. He just wasn't faster than the cars that got him through points.
yeah.
There's only a few spots open. There's only a few open spots.
Okay. All right. So who else do we want to cover?
The cup.
Cup. Yeah, you can do the top 10 in the Cup.
Did you want the trucks or no?
The trucks weren't there this weekend, were they? They were off.
Oh yeah. Never mind. That's from the 26th. My bad. You were talking about the Pocono trip and the trucks. Yeah. Okay. So Elliott somehow didn't choke. He got the win.
He smoked him too. Like he was gone at the end, man. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't even close to him.
Christopher Bell, Bush, Hamlin, Briscoe, Chastain, Reddick, Truex, and Di Benedetto.
I tell you what, I enjoyed that race, and just by Josh reading that top 10 off, there was a few people in there that surprised me. I mean, here's Christopher Bell, who's basically a sprint car driver, finishing second on the road course. That was pretty amazing, Matt Benedetto, he had a super fast car. He was the fastest car for about 10 laps, and the thing would fade. Like, it was a short run car. It wasn't a long run car,
Yeah.
It was a good race. It was very enjoyable. Another thing I want to mention about Pocono, too, I always like taking notice of like who's wearing whose T-shirts. And I tell you what, right now, it's all Kyle Larson and all Chase Elliott.
Yeah, everything they showed was either the 9 or the 5.
Yeah.
All the little kids still wear Kyle Busch shirts though.
Yeah, but it's a lot of Kyle. Yeah, but it's all front. That's kind of like being a front runner because Elliott Wall was up there at Pocono with us. He's like, man, he knows everybody's wearing Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott shirts. Why do you think that is? I'm like, well, Kyle Larson just won, 3 of the last 5 races, and Chase Elliott's the defending champion.
Yeah, it's bandwagoning.
Right. And then walking around the pits, Nancy noticed, she's like, man, there's a lot of Kurt Busch stuff here, But then I got thinking about it. I'm like, Nancy, I think it's more of a Monster Energy thing, drink thing, because it was all like camping stuff, like Easy Ups and coolers and stuff like that. So it might have been like the old Marlboro Miles days where people were, proof of purchase stuff, one Monster Energy drink, Easy Ups and coolers through a promotion through the energy drink,
Lisa's dad smoked so much that he had all the, proof of purchase, box tops, whatever from the cigarettes. She got her first tent to go camping. It was a Coleman Marlboro tent.
Back in the day for the miles.
Yeah.
I worked at Lubidol then, Scott.
Tim, they used a dartboard or something through that?
Yeah, I got everything I could. They had. Josh used to work at.
You just take people's
boxes
out of the cars.
You vacuum out the cars and throw all the cigarette boxes out. We would keep all the cigarette boxes and take all the miles off of them. I had a dartboard, a tent, all kinds of coolers.
I tell you what, that stuff was nice too. Marlboro wasn't cheap. Everything you got through that promotion was high quality stuff.
Honestly, we used that tent up until it started leaking when we went to Assateague just like 2 or 3 years ago.
I had a friend that worked for Penske's during the when Marlboro sponsored Penske, and they had all the old Dodge Avenger IROC cars.
Okay.
Out in Reading, Pennsylvania, and that was all for Marlboro too. Like the real high rollers, like you needed like 100,000 miles or whatever. They did driving things at Nazareth with those cars, and he said it was crazy because he said the people there were all coughing and gagging and smoking it under the Easy Up because they were like big time smokers to get that many miles to do their. He said after 3 laps they were all winded because they were such heavy smokers. They were supposed to do 5 laps, and then most people could only make it 3 and had to pull, and they couldn't breathe.
At Nazareth?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I know it's a flat track.
I thought that was a pretty cool story. I thought it was pretty funny.
Wow.
Before we get off the whole Pocono deal, Scott said it was good for families to go there. And when we took the girls there for the truck race, I don't have room and towing money, so I'm down in the bottom bleacher. Where you can't see nothing but pit road. You see the front stretch and pit road. So it was for the truck race, and Kyle Busch was leading, so we could only see the front stretch. And the girls, it was a couple of years ago now. So they were probably like 7 years old, and Kyle Busch would go by, and she'd watch him go down the turn. They come down there, was 2 laps ago, and he's still leading, but the guy in second's getting closer and closer. I can still remember her little girl looking this all the way down, waiting for to come out of turn 3, coming on the first stretch. He came to where was coming. She took the white flag, come back around. She's looking, and I can see the jumbotron. She doesn't know the jumbotron's there, so she didn't recognize that it was there. And I can see that Kyle Busch was still leading. I'm like, watch for it, Bailey, watch for it. And he come around the corner, and she stood up in the air, and she was cheering all the way down the front stretch. And they did the donuts right in front of us.
Oh,
and when Kyle Busch did the donut, the asphalt caught on fire. So when he pulled away, the asphalt was on fire. And Alexis and Bailey were talking about that like 2 days ago. They go, remember we went to Pocono and the asphalt caught on fire? Like they still remember that. It's like something
like Tim just said, there's pros and cons of sitting high up or sitting down low. I've sat in both. I went with Johnny Gasco one time to Pocono, and we sat all the way down on the bottom in the first row of grandstands, and we ended up enjoying it because, like I said, we sat right in front of a TV screen, and if you had to get up, get a drink, or go to the bathroom, you were right there. You didn't have to climb down 50 rows of bleachers to get down to the bottom. We would just walk up a couple steps, and the restrooms in the refreshment stands were right there.
Yep.
And I tell you what, when you sit down lower in those lower grandstands, the cars look so much faster down there.
Yeah.
And you're closer to pit road, so it's more exciting watching the stuff on pit road and watching those cars come out of 3 and down that long front straightaway, and like you get the vibration in the grandstands down there, and you're flying. Where up top, it's quieter because you're further away from the track, but you can see the whole track. So there's pros and cons to sitting anywhere. I'll sit anywhere at a racetrack.
I will say, like when I went with my dad for the IndyCar races, we would sit up in the very top where we had shade. Like they had the steel.
That's the 300 section. That gets a little pricey up there.
Yeah, but I mean, you're out of the sun, which was amazing. Yeah. And then you also have bathrooms right up there, and you can get food and drink there too.
Right.
All of that top row. So, I mean, yeah, it's a little pricier, but it's kind of that same thing where you don't have to go far to go to a bathroom or to get, refreshments. So, I was a fan of that.
One last thing I want to say before we leave the Pocono thing is, Tim said it was a great place to bring your family. I did see some people we knew from Wall Stadium. Number one, Mark Tucker was there. He was a former Riverhead racer, and he's even won the Racing Champions at Flemington. Him and his wife were there in their motorhome. So I sat and talked to them for a while. It was nice seeing them. Tommy Farrell and his wife Tara were up there with their kids in their motorhome. And so it was nice seeing them. Next to them was Tyler Truex and his girlfriend Megan Smith. They were camping in a pop-up. They bought a pop-up together, and they were camping in a pop-up. And then when Wall Stadium got canceled, Dom Fataruso and his wife, his girlfriend Caitlin Truex, they came up after Wall Stadium got canceled. They came up and were camping with Tommy Farrell and them, and with Tyler Truex and them. So that was a group from Wall Stadium that was up there. Elliot Wall was there with his camper and some of his friends. Remember Robert Barker? He had the vintage cars from Staten Island.
Yep.
He was up there with his camper camping. We've seen quite a few people we knew up there, so it was nice seeing some people. We saw Earl Krause and Dino Alberto from Mahoney Valley.
Okay.
They do the PA system there. So when the race is going on, they have MRN broadcast, and when the race is not going on, they have
Earl and Dino.
Yeah. They're like calling the 50-50 numbers, which got up to $60,000, Josh.
Holy crap.
Me and Ellie bought 250 tickets, and we didn't win.
Jeez.
That would have been nice.
We went in together. 250 tickets. Me and Ellie were going to split it. It was $60,000 it got up to. So Dino talks about that, and like if Tricky's walking around, he's with a group of people. Like Earl talks that up and talks up, like go buy a soda here. And he was talking about Danny Bone racing at Wall Stadium. They did a great job, and just like Wall Stadium, they have you can put it on your. We even listen to it in our camper on the
right
closed circuit or whatever it's called radio station. It was like 89.7. You heard.
Yeah,
what the track announcers were saying, but
like they do at walk.
Yeah, like they do at walk. You drive 2 miles away from the racetrack, you miss it. So we were listening to Earl. We saw Earl. We got to hang out with Earl a little bit over in the grandstands. We actually walked through the tunnel. He was coming down from driver introductions and going up to the tower, and we walked. A lot of people might not know this, but a lot of people do. There's a tunnel that goes underneath the racetrack on the front straightaway, right at the start finish line. It goes underneath pit road, and that's how you get into the grandstands from the pits. So we walked down through the tunnel with Earl and got to talk to him a little bit and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing him there when I was for the Indy race. I still think it was funny that he got to introduce Lee Greenwood, but not that Lee Greenwood.
Country singer Lee Greenwood.
Yeah.
and there's always that part when you go to Pocono, that little bit of inside you that still thinks you're 12 years old when you're going there and you were for the race champions.
Yeah.
You get that feel that, we've been coming here a long time.
Another thing, too, we had a group of friends camping on the outside of the track, but it was called the fence line. It's the straightaway between the tunnel turn and turn 3, and they were right on the fence line, and you're literally 10 foot from the track. And they had one of those toy hauler campers where the back goes down like an enclosed trailer so you can put like a quad or something in the back. Well, it's also a bed down there too. You fold it when the quad's not in there or whatever you're towing's not in there, the bed folds down. So they had the bed down, and that's where they were sleeping. And they said they woke up in the middle of the night. They were covered in rubber because we were sitting back there with the door down watching the races.
Yeah.
And the rubber. We were so close to the track that the rubber was coming off the car and landed in their bed. And we didn't realize it while the race was going on. They said they woke up in the morning. They had like black marks all over because there was so much rubber in their bed from the race cars. That's how close they were to the racetrack.
It's funny. Even at Dover, sitting high up in the stands, I was getting flecks of rubber like all over my face because I'd be sweating. And it would stick to you, stick all over your nose and your face, and it was little bits of rubber. The tiniest fibers, but it just got blown up there as the cars were going.
One thing you learned about when you're at a cup race and you're also camping, how far the TV broadcast is behind what's actually going on the racetrack.
Yeah,
we had the TV on at my friend's motorhome on the fence line, and we're watching the TV and the racetrack. They're 2-3 laps behind on the TV,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's always that they were supposed to do that 7-second delay, but between mixing, processing, sending the signal out, and then it coming back to
So we'd see an accident live on the racetrack, and then we'd run back to the TV and have to wait a minute or two for it to come on there to see what happened,
But when you watch at home, you have no idea that you're.
You're fine.
Yeah. It's a weird, yeah.
On the way home, I had we left the track at lap 87 of the Cup race on Sunday to beat the traffic out of there, and we listened to it on the radio. I have satellite radio, Sirius XM radio, and Nancy did the DraftKings thing.
Oh right.
And the betting on the NASCAR races,
yeah.
And she had Brian Priest for a pretty good bet. It was like a $5 bet, but she could win if he finished in the top 10. It was like $163 payout, and he did. He finished 8th, so she was all happy because we heard it on the radio. She's like, "Oh man, I won $163 on Ryan Priest." And then she checks her DraftKings, and then we're like, listening to the radio, and we're like, "Was their broadcast wrong or something?" Because they didn't have them. They had them like 30 something on the results on DraftKings, but what DraftKings did, they screwed up. Nancy put them on blast. She bet the Sunday's race, but they put the Saturday results up. They paid on the Saturday results. Jeez. They screwed up. They didn't realize there was 2 NASCAR races. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm telling you, they don't know what they're.
Yeah, they don't know the sport. They don't know the sport. And Nancy was all. So an hour of the ride home, I had to listen to Nancy like
Oh, I'm sure she was pissed.
DraftKings and messaging them and slamming them and like proving that Ryan Priest finished thing. And within an hour and a half, it got straightened out and she got paid. So it was just a mistake on DraftKings part, that they went off Saturday's results for Sunday's winnings. It's confusing. You usually have one race, and this weekend was different where they come back to.
Their big money is all the people that bet on football, where there's a team plays, I don't know, once every couple weeks.
I tell you what, they're trying to get big with NASCAR, though, because they had a presence there. They had signs there and stuff, and they were sponsoring Bubba Wallace. The Sunday car was all
I'm not
Bubba
sure
Wallace.
that's the best choice.
Yeah, it was all DraftKings. And that was another rumor going around how we just talked about the Jimmy Spencer and Dale Jr., being able to cheat. Well, Michael Jordan was there, and Bubba finished good both days, and then he goes to Road American. I think he finished like 26th or something like that. So they're like, oh, they let him cheat at Pocono because Jordan was there.
Because you have especially
the money people were there.
Yeah, the money people, Drive for Diversity, all that. Like if they don't put on a good show, like oh god, it's the same as they.
I tell you what though. Like sometimes when you're on the fan side of it, you can see stuff a little bit different. And you know how they always say, like, you're only allowed 4 Cup teams, and Denny Hamlin owns this Bubba Wallace team, this other thing. But then you go out in the souvenir trailers, and all Bubba Wallace's stuff sold out of the Joe Gibbs trailer. So it was like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, like they're all sold out of the same trailer. So this proves to you he's the 5th Gibbs car. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just,
I tell you what, you got a pretty good presence there. I've seen a lot of the 23XL, 2311 motorsports shirts walking around. He's got real nice stuff. Who's got really, really nice souvenirs, but not a big seller is Eric Jones with the Richard Petty Motorsports. Their stuff is very, very nice. Just not a lot of people buy it because they don't do so great, But I just like the look of their stuff. They look really neat.
That's still kind of weird to me. I mean, Eric Jones he should have been the next,
Yeah, but I shouldn't say this, Josh, because you're going to go off the handle, but I listen to the other RPM podcast, the Richard Petty Motorsports podcast, and they have some good guests on, and they had one of their crew chiefs on, and they were talking. I didn't realize how small this team was. They have 25 employees at Richard Petty Motorsports.
That's including at the shop, building, like fabricating and stuff?
That was including the 2 guys that do the social media and the RPM podcast. They have 25 guys.
We have more people. Small. We have more people doing our podcast.
They're saying Hendrick's got 550 people. They said that Hendrick Motorsports has probably more people taking care of the lawn than they have working at the whole Richard Petty Motorsports. And their shop, Josh, it's not even big enough to park the tractor trailer inside. That they're one of the last couple teams that parked the tractor trailer outside.
Jimmy Blue brings more people on the track than they do.
It's not what everybody thinks it is,
So
actually, they run pretty good for what they have.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's you have such prestige behind the name and everything. Yeah. It's just it's a shame.
I mean, I don't blame it. It's almost like Richard Petty's just cashing in,
Oh, yeah. I mean, how old is he?
But it also goes to show that you can run a Cup team with 25 people. You don't need 500 people. You know what I'm saying?
You can do it, but everybody's going to be busting their ass.
Jones finished in the top 10, with that small team, And even their souvenirs, Tim, how you're just saying how, they're all together. Like the RPM, the Richard Petty Motorsports, and Eric Jones stuff, that it was sold out of the Chevy hauler, Chevy trailers, like the Chevy Motorsports trailer. They didn't even have their own trailer,
Yeah, yep.
I tell you, Chevy's got nice stuff too, man. They really sell some nice cool stuff out of the souvenir trailers,
Yeah, I've been impressed overall with a lot of the gear that they've, like souvenirs and shirts and diecast. I mean, they generally put out some decent stuff nowadays. Did you have a scanner, or were you listening to anything?
They were, Josh. They were sold out too. I have my own scanners and stuff, and I didn't even think about bringing that stuff. And usually, me and Nancy do. We have the splitter where we can have one scanner and have 2 headsets and everything. And it just, for some reason, I never even thought about bringing that stuff. And then when I got up there, Mark Tucker, who's won the Race Champion Street Stock race at Flemington, he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, you have an extra scanner? Mine just broke. And I'm like, you know what, Mark? I didn't even think about bringing that stuff. And it was all the racing electronics trailers. They had big signs out front that they were sold out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a big seller up there, you know. So it was good to see them making some money because I know they weren't allowed. You know, they had no fans in the stands anyway. But even during COVID, when they were opening up like 30%, they weren't allowed to do the headset thing, the rental thing, because of COVID. So now they're allowed to do it again. They were sold out, so that was pretty good. Now, I totally forgot about the scanner stuff. And usually I like doing that because I like picking a driver and listening to them on the radio. Like I could have picked Bubba Wallace and listened to Freddie Kraft, who's been on the show before, because Freddie's
his spotter.
Bubba's,
yeah.
We saw Freddie too. We hung out with Freddie a little bit too. And
I like it because
totally slipped my mind about bringing a scanner.
I appreciate that because I still, like you said, you pick a driver, and you can kind of follow their story for the day. You know, it's like, this is the problem they've been chasing.
Is he going to pit or is he going to stay out? And it's cool listening to how they work through situations like that. It makes you feel part of the team almost, like, you know. Like
yeah. It's not like how on TV where they pick and choose, you know, a couple, you know, tiny segments of the audio.
When me and Nancy usually bring a scanner to a race like that, we usually pick somebody we know. You know, like, of course, if we're going to a race and Bruce Cook's the crew chief, we'll listen to him. Like, if I would have my scanner, I probably would have listened to Danny Bone because we're friends with him, and it would have been cool how he handled the situation of his drive shaft breaking. You know,
was Gould there?
Yeah, he was there with whatever truck he works for, the Brett Moffitt truck. You know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I really didn't hang out in the pit so much. I wasn't really in the mood to do the pit thing. I was offered the opportunity to go help Stephanie Moyer in the ARCA car, and I wish I would have. She had a great run. She finished 15th. I did tell the mom was messaging me, and she was asking me to come in the pits and help because she knew I was going to be there Thursday, you know, with the camper and everything, and the race was on Friday. And I told her I would. And then when I talked to Nancy about it, Nancy's like, you know, we already have tickets for the ARCA race to watch it from the grandstands. It was we got free ARCA tickets with our camping site.
Oh, okay.
Spot. So that was part of the package. And so we already had free tickets to go across the grandstands. Then I had my friends inviting us over to that fence line party they were having over there I was just telling you about. And I got thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm in the pits working on race cars every weekend of my life. I'm working on my own race cars. I would have liked to go in the ARCA pits. I do enjoy the ARCA series, and I really like what Stephanie's doing, trying to break into racing big time, and she's doing very well. She's working with Andy Hillenberg's team, which Andy's been around the sport forever too. So I did message Sonia Moyer back and said, listen, we already got tickets for the grandstands. I think I'm going to pass coming in the pits to help with you, but I do appreciate you asking. I said, but if you really, really, really need the help and you're shorthanded and you're going to run the whole race, I will come in and help. And she messaged me back. She's like, no, I appreciate it, but we should be fine. We got other people coming too. So she ran great.
For really me, that would be cool.
23 or 24 cars out there. She finished 15th. She missed a couple of wrecks. She did a great job.
Now, basically, I need to find a way to go with you next year if you do this again, and then that way you can be like, oh, no, I'm not going to do it, but I have this schmuck that does the podcast, and he's willing to, you know.
I tell you what, anybody can go on the ARCA pit. You just go up to the thing. You just need a team to sign under, and it's like another $60 or something like that. You can just say you're with Andy Hilberg's team, pay $60 and sign in, you know.
Yeah. Well, no,
just walk around and say, I want to help. You know what you do in a situation like that? If you want to help somebody, like I know a lot of people, you know, so a lot of people call me and ask, oh, you're going, come help us. But if you don't know anybody, just go on like their Facebook, say, oh, I see you're racing the ARCA race. Do you need help? You know, I'll work for free. They'll let you come help. They hold the pit sign, anything, catch tires, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it is more, you got to, if you want to go over the wall, it's $250 you need a ARCA license then, so that was $250 to go over the wall.
I mean, would you wear your fire suit for that? Or
yeah, you have to there. Yeah, you can wear your own fire suit and helmet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
when she was first asking me, they needed over the wall helmet. They were kind of asking me, you know, if I can go over the wall, but I had to buy my own license. And then they're like, well, we got enough guys to go over the wall now. We might need someone to catch the tires, and that's only like $6. You know, you don't need a license. You just pay $60 for the pit pass for the day or whatever. You know.
I think I'm going to have to.
I'm like, you know what? I'm here spend time with Nancy and camp and have a good time.
No, I completely get it from your end, but I mean, I've been so detached from, actually
Yeah.
driving and stuff for a few years that, yeah.
Well, keep an eye on Stephanie Moyer's schedule when she races. You can always message her and say, hey, I can come help, And she did great. I actually enjoyed watching her race from the outside of the track, and watch. She did a great job. And that would have been another thing if I would have had a scanner. I would have listened to her,
Actually, I was actually going to put a plea out on Facebook if anybody was might have a car available. I really would love to run that Gasco Memorial race.
I think we're getting a lot of cars for that race. All right, Josh, let's move on to the next thing. We got to wrap this up here. It's getting late already.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. We wasted a lot of time on this, Tim. Let's just promote what's going on at Wall Stadium this weekend. If you want to look that up first, Josh.
Yeah, no, I got it. I got it right here. So the next up is going to be Saturday, July 10th. It's going to be the Summer Thunder 100. That's 100 laps for the modifieds, but more importantly, the factory stocks are going to be there. They're going to be closing out the night, it looks like. So you're going to start with the Fast Fours for 25 laps. The Legends are going to go with another 25 laps. And then you have your modified 100-lapper and then the factory stocks for 25 laps. Trying to see if there's anything...
Does it say what the modified race pays? Is it one of those $5,000?
$5,000.
Oh, wow. They're generous with that, man. $5,000 to win a 100-lap race at Wall Stadium is pretty big money.
I mean, it's a tough track, and that's what it's. I know a lot of people seem to be scared of Wall. Is my impression. So sometimes you need to entice them in with a big money payout, and more power to them. I'm glad the track does it. But Wall was also one of the few places that would pay you for wherever you finished in an enduro race.
Right. Usually it's like top 3 or top 5 in enduro races, where Wall would pay the full field like it was a regular factory stock race.
Yeah. So not many places do that. So that was pretty good to see. I'm trying to see if there's
I'm trying to look the weather up, see what the weather looks like this Saturday, because it's been. I feel so bad for these tracks. COVID's finally over. We can have full grandstands, and now the weather's not cooperating. Another problem is the tire shortage. Have you guys been paying attention to these tracks getting?
Oh, actually, let's go to that in just a second. But I want to say that the for this event Saturday, the modified drivers will have an autograph signing session at intermission.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the factory stocks get to do it in August.
All right. I'm looking at it now. Saturday, this July 10th, 81 degrees during the day of a high, 65 a low. So if it cools down, it'd be a nice night of racing.
Oh, that sounds like a yeah, I'll take that 65 degrees. Hell yeah.
Oh, Josh, you would have loved it at Pocono. It got down to 58 at night. We didn't have a fan on or air conditioner in our camper. We just opened the windows and that mountain air coming in, man. I slept so good.
We went camping this past 4th of July weekend because the weather actually ended up being gorgeous and it got chilly at night. I slept in my hammock, and when a breeze came through, you feel it on your back, but I slept great.
So there is a 33% chance of rain. Scattered clouds with possibility of an isolated thunderstorm developing during the afternoon. High 81, winds light and variable, chance of rain 30%. Then at night, Saturday night, 65 degrees, 31% chance of rain. Partly cloudy skies, early giving away to a few showers after midnight. So we got a chance to get it in. Low near 65, winds light and variable, chance of rain 30%. So here we are battling the 30% thing again.
It is a little weird because we have that hurricane Elsa. She won't let it go, and she's.
That was down Keys, right?
Yeah, but it's tracking to come. Part of it's going to come through Jersey, but I mean, I think they expect it's going to be mostly dead, but it's going to be some rain coming through with that, I'm sure. But that might be Thursday-ish, so we'll see how long it lingers. I mean, I don't mind if it cools things down a little bit because today sucked with the heat. I'm ready for winter. But yeah, that's all I see related to Wall this Saturday, at least.
Yeah,
So
the order event. Did you go on the
yeah,
pits part?
yeah. I'm in the pits. Yeah, that's what I said before. The Fast Fours, then the Legends, then the Modifieds, and then the factory stocks.
4 divisions?
Yep. Well, yeah, 4 divisions because the Modifieds are the 100
100
laps.
lapper.
Yeah. I don't see anything about if they're going to count caution laps.
I think they usually count up to lap 75.
Yeah,
and then
yeah, I
after
think so.
75, the last 25 laps are green.
Yeah.
Okay. But honestly, usually in those races, especially in the modifieds, as opposed to the sportsmen, the modifieds they'll end up going single file for a while and trying to save their stuff and not cause
They
any
basically
problems.
ride around until the pit stop, and then they'll pit for tires and come out and race like hell.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, you got to survive it first, and yeah, they're usually fairly smart about it. And then I'm just looking at the kart series if there's anything.
Gonna do picks for Saturday? It's not.
We
You
can.
know, when the
How can you bet against Andrew Krause in the modified race right nowadays?
No, you can't.
Yeah, so I
And he's
have
good on the
fun.
longer runs too.
Yeah. So yeah, Andrew's gonna be tough to beat over there. He's got a good shot at it. It's so hard to tell over there.
But then also, who else might come out of the woodwork? Are we going to see
I mean, if
Jason?
Kyle Sisko's there, I think he's got something for Andrew. Kyle runs real good in those long distance races as
Or
well.
will we see Jason Hearn come out and make an appearance for a big race?
I mean, you do get something like that, but I know the one car that's running a limited schedule is Kyle Sisko, and he ran real good in the last 125 lapper they had there. So I think he was one of the faster cars there. So if I'm not going Andrew, I would have to pick Kyle.
Yeah. What about Blake?
He's been running good. I tell you what, he ran good at Evergreen when I was up there. I did take my Enduro car up there and ran the 50-lap duct tape race up there at Evergreen. I finished 4th. Blake was up there racing. I tell you what, man, back in the day, a Wall Stadium guy can go up to Evergreen and just smoke them up there. But I tell you what, the quality cars that Evergreen's getting nowadays by them going to those 7 races a year, they're getting really good cars up there. And Blake finished second up there. He finished second to Matt Hirschman, which was a win in itself. He ran real good. Blake just ran real good up at that tri-track race up at Seekonk. Unfortunately, the feature got rained out, but I mean, they had 45 cars there, and he was finished second in his heat race and qualified, very well. So he was fast there as well. So he might be able to do something too.
Yeah.
And then you got people like Eric Moriello that show up for the big race in Ferrera's car. That car's always fast. You really got to see who shows up before you can pick. But just going off the top of my head by the cars I think that are going to be there, I think it's going to be between Andrew Krause and Kyle Sisko.
I want to say Blake Barney. I want to say it. That's going to be. I mean, yes.
Write these down, Josh. All right, if we got to pick a point, I'm going to go with Kyle Sisko because Andrew's luck's got to run out sooner or later.
All right, so Scott is picking Sisko.
Yeah, and if for some reason Kyle's not there because he's on a limited schedule this year, I'll take Andrew.
Sisko, then Krause. Tim, who are you picking?
My dark horse, I'm going to go with Cisco too.
Okay.
And Jimmy Blewett's going to win.
Okay.
Is he going to be there? You know something I don't know, Tim?
I don't know anything. I'm just saying Jimmy Blewett's going to win.
He's going to win without showing up. He's just going to. All right, then
Tim does swim in that pool every day, so he might have some inside information up there.
All right, so yeah. It was something said poolside. It's not official. So I'm gonna go with Barney because I mean, yeah, you want to say Krause, but and Krause is definitely a huge threat.
And it could come down to where there's who pits late and who doesn't. You know what I mean? We've been over there when nobody pits and then they go green for the last 70 laps and then they don't.
I mean, it's tough over. You got Andrew Krause, you got Kyle Sisko, Blake Barney, Tim's poolside secret, Jimmy Blowett,
Moriello,
the other kid that drives the Ely kid that drives for Ferrari. They're always fast. I mean, Dom Fataruso's getting faster and faster.
There's a lot of good talent.
Tim's guy he spots for, Anthony Sesley, he can still win over there, no problem. The modifieds are strong over there.
I don't know.
You can't forget about Hopkinson in the 17 car.
I don't know if there's a race next weekend or not. I don't know if Sesley's going to be there or not. There might be somewhere else where he's got a race because he's been doing a lot of that other tri-track racing and stuff.
Yeah. But on a $5,000 race in his backyard where he runs very well, I think he'll be there too.
Well, put it this way: nobody's called me yet. I have to wait till like Friday morning at 12 o'clock, and everybody starts calling me, wanting to know who's going to spot for who. So,
so you got us noted, Josh. We can talk about it next week. Who was right and who was
wrong. Yeah. No, I have it written down. I'm gonna actually copy it over to the show doc so that way it pops up again. But here's the thing. This is what I love about when you try to bet on racing, because any of these guys could blow a motor. It could just be bad luck. That's the time it expires, and so. Yeah, DraftKings has their work cut out for them because odds don't mean what they mean.
We're not DraftKings, we're Draft Jokers.
But you're saying DraftKings, like, they're big into football. Same thing can happen in football, too. You have this star quarterback like Tim's guy, Tom Brady. So you think they're going to win because Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. Well, he gets hurt in the first quarter, and they ain't got Tom Brady anymore. You know what I'm saying? So
Tom Brady is the best quarterback ever.
I know, but I'm just saying he can get hurt just like anybody else and go down, and now they don't have the best quarterback.
Yes, you're right. But typically racing,
sports when it comes to bet.
But typically, auto racing compared to horse racing or football or whatever, the stats don't matter as much in auto racing because.
What really kills racing now, because really they don't blow up motors and stuff like they do, like they used to.
But lap traffic could take somebody out.
But you know what really kills it is these damn speeding penalties on pit road. Like
that's
because it's such a long pit road. They were getting killed with them, and like Daniel Hamrick kind of had that Xfinity race one, and he got a pit road speeding penalty. And he's like, "There's no way. I stayed like 100 RPMs under what we set it at." So I didn't get it. It's I don't know. If you listen to that Jimmy Spencer Dale Jr. Podcast, Jimmy Spencer says NASCAR screwed him out of a win at Daytona one year because he was.
The guy had a grudge against him and got him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was winning the race, had it won. He had to just pit for a couple gallons of fuel, and he went super slow. And they posted him, and he even told him that you weren't speeding. I did it on purpose. That was Les Richter.
I just Les Richter always comes up, and Ed Cox's name always comes up whenever there's controversy. And when we first started going tour racing, when John first started tour racing,
the guy, right?
Ed Cox, he was the guy. And, I really don't have.
They held grudges.
I really don't have anything bad to say about Ed Cox. But I was a hell of a lot younger and didn't know as much as I know now, but. It's amazing. A lot of those old Dale Jr. talks, all those old guys on those Lost Speed, they all MF Ed Cox. It's funny.
Yeah. All right, guys, I got to get going. You want to do a quick What Have We Learned?
I would love to do What Have We Learned.
You go ahead, Josh.
We didn't even get to that. Actually, real quick, I also have to say what else is going on at.
I got some things real quick, too. Go ahead, Josh.
Real quick, what else is going on at Wall? The ladies, where is it? The Ladies of Motorsports magazine will be there on July 10th as well. They're big on supporting emotional abuse awareness, but they have a magazine. They're going to have picture opportunities, and donations are going to go towards Peaceful Tomorrows. So I just want to mention that. So
they might want to stand by Elliot Wall's trailer because I emotionally abuse him all night long when we're at the racetrack.
I prefer everybody stay as far away from Elliot as possible. But and then we didn't get to the SRX or the Atlanta's repaving their track, and that seems interesting. We didn't get to it. We'll talk about that another time. The SRX series we mentioned. Yeah.
As far as the SRX race goes, if you haven't watched it yet and you're at Wall Stadium on Saturday night, just record it because it's worth it to watch.
It's enjoyable. And they usually put it up on YouTube a couple days later. Me
Yeah,
and my brother talked about this a little bit today. CBS Sports is definitely making a push towards motorsports, but without NASCAR. I noticed flipping through my channels the other day on my cable network, I found a new channel called CBS Sports, and I kind of like scrolled through the times, and it was all racing. It was World of Outlaws, the SRX series.
Like with Speed Channel or Eurovision.
Yeah,
or
World of
whatever.
Outlaws, late models. And it was cool because I watched the one World of Outlaws sprint car race, and Dave Blaney won. It was his first win in the World of Outlaws in like 24 years.
Huh.
He was like the 1995 champion. You know, of course, he took the whole time off when he was racing NASCAR, and now he's going back to sprint car racing. And he won, and it was at Sharon Speedway, a track his family owns. And it was a last lap pass. It was pretty cool. It was a good race.
All right. All right, yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. That covers that. So let's go to...
I wanted to say, I just wanted to mention that Jack Ingram died. That's
Yes.
He passed away. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that happened.
He always had beautiful race cars. He had those beautiful maroon and white skull number 11s. I always loved those race cars.
Yeah, he was good. That's back when Sam Mard and him were the two ones. And the reason why I brought it up is because one year we were at the North Turn, where I was talking about before, and we were eating lunch in there, and he was in there. If you ever go to the North Turn, Josh, during Speed Weeks, 9 out of 10 times there's somebody in there that's got a little bit of fame to him. You know, an old driver.
Scott Riggleman was there, and his race car was perfect.
So there's always somebody in there, and
a bragging camp.
Jack Ingram happened to be in there, and we were all in there, and the girls were all wearing, whatever, Cowboy shirts or Martin Truex Jr. shirts, whatever.
That three-way,
and he was
good time.
And he was sitting at the table next to us, him and a bunch of older guys, and it got to be where we were talking to him, and he actually sat there and took the time and talked to Bailey and Alexis about them racing. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was sad that he died.
He was up there though in age, right?
I think he's 83. I think they said 83.
They said the reason why you remember, Scott, they tried to have that all-star race and they were all in the late models, and he wrecked real bad in that. They had basically said it was still complications. Like, he never recovered from that.
Yeah, he got hit real bad in the door.
Yeah.
I think Charlie Glotzback hit him.
Yeah. Do you remember that, Josh? They were all like 70-year-old guys out there. I think it was at Bristol, wasn't it?
It was Bristol, late model cars.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. No, I didn't remember that.
And they had a big record. He really never recovered from it.
Wow. Okay.
And the other old Scott's hero, Junior Miller, came out of retirement for a couple laps at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where. Scott, do you know what happened? He wrecked or something,
He got
right?
into a wreck, and he got double hooked off the track. It hurt. It wasn't a great return to the racetrack.
Yeah, but it's Bowman Gray, so I mean, there's no great return to racing at Bowman Gray.
Josh, I'm with you. I still don't get it.
it's just
everybody says I gotta go there in person and I'll fall in love with it, but I've seen enough where it's just it's not my type of racing. I'm just not really into that wrecking part of the sport.
Yeah, no, I
hate seeing beautiful race cars get wrecked over stupid stuff.
Rubbing, yes. Wrecking, no. There's a line.
All right, guys, let's do a quick what did we learn. I got to get going here.
Tim, what did you learn today?
I learned we were off the air for so long. We all had to reprogram our computers to get on this morning or this afternoon. Other than that, no. It's been a damn near month since we raced. I'm ready to go racing. Hopefully, it's not too hot Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get some racing in.
Okay. Scott, what did you learn?
I learned while I'm out working, my brother's swimming in Blewett's pool.
Oh, I know what. Can I say one more thing real quick?
No.
I do. I got a Uncle Scott did come through and bought Alexis tires for her go-kart, so I have to thank Riggleman Towing and Nancy and Scott Riggleman for their support. And Jimmy Blewett, Grandpa Blewett, stepped up and bought Bailey new tires, so they'll both have sticker tires for this Sunday, thanks to
And now Tim would still have enough money to spend $200 at Columbus Market on sausage and
Oh, no, I know.
and double smoked bacon.
and
And
I
bacon
know.
eggs.
The
Bacon
key word
eggs.
is the key word is that was I used to. I don't anymore.
While I'm out working, he's swimming in a pool. While I'm out buying his daughter's tires for his race car. He's buying meat at Columbus
No.
Market.
The closest thing I get to Columbus Market now is once in a while we'll go to Prime Market and get sausage patties from the place next to the Dunkin' Donuts. You
I
had
put a picture up of pork roll hot dogs the other day. They look pretty expensive.
they're $5 a pack, but they're sold out.
yeah, because they're all in your freezer.
Feel
Next to the
That-
tire.
that came off of. I didn't have those. That came off Facebook. Somebody bought them for 4th of July for their party. It's a little pork roll company that makes them in Trenton. They only make certain amounts of them, and they sell them online. They're all sold out online. The only place that you can buy them in the store is ShopRite Marketplace of Hamilton. That's the only place that has them in line. I put Felix on that. All day today, Felix is on that. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have a pack of those. They're called pork roll links.
Okay.
It was like Martin's or something, I think, at the package.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, something like that.
That was
Yeah.
the main brand, yeah. All right, Josh,
Yeah.
what have you learned?
Oh boy, here we go. I learned that Nancy is bringing Scott a longer one so he can't pull out. What? You said it. I learned that Tim doesn't know if it used to be bigger.
It used to be. I gained a lot of weight. It used to be a lot bigger.
That was in reference to the pool. I learned that Tim is bringing his blow up tomorrow. I learned that you don't call Uber, you call Goober. Today I learned that original Coors is called Coors Hard. And I learned that Tim likes little pork rolls.
Yeah. Instead of Coors Light, it's called Coors Heavy.
Do they still make Coors Extra Gold?
I don't know. That was actually pretty good. I don't like beer, and that's pretty good. Josh, you know what beer I do like, and for some reason I always drink it when I go to the Poconos, and I don't drink. I don't drink at all. But I like the apple beers, like Red's Apple.
Oh, the apple cider. Yeah.
They gotta be cold though.
Yeah, they gotta be ice cold, and I can drink like a half a bottle. But I noticed for this time of the year, for some reason they're popular, and I even noticed on Kevin Harvick's car, the Busch Light, it was the Busch Apple beer on it. For some reason, it's big this time of the year.
I like them, but I mean, after one or two, if you're not careful, you get a headache.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like drinking apple juice.
Yeah. I don't know if it's impurities or what in there, but yeah, I'll get a headache if I'm not careful.
Probably too much sugar.
Yeah, probably.
That too, yeah. But
I just like the taste of it. Like I said, I can drink. I don't drink, but I can drink a half or a full beer of one of those apple ones. I just like the taste of them.
See, for doing this
But
stuff.
then growing up, I liked apple juice, so I can see why I like the apple beer.
For when I need something easy, light, I know what it does to me. The Coors Light is fine. That's why I have it. But my neighbors have a brewery in town, and I love going there. And just they have all sorts of different, and it's all nuclear themed because they named it after the nuclear plant.
Oh yeah, I heard of that place. Yeah.
So
Oyster
I know
Creek
the
beer I like too is kind of weird because I don't like beer and I don't drink. But Rolling Rock, I can drink a couple Rolling Rocks. I like Rolling Rocks.
The Rolling Rocks aren't bad. Yeah.
Does the horse wink at you?
Same thing. It's got to be like the little nip bottle, and it's got to be ice cold.
Has the horse ever winked at you?
No.
I don't know if you remember that commercial.
Are the horse like 33 or something? It doesn't say like 30.
Yeah, it's got It's got a 33 on it.
Okay.
There's a couple hidden messages on that Rolling Rock label.
I'm gonna have to stop at the brewery this week. I didn't go over the weekend. One of my favorites. They have they have the yellow cake cream ale, so it's themed after the everything.
There's a brewery out by my campground called Screaming Hill on the other side of Great Adventure.
Okay.
They got good beer too. Their beer tastes really good too. It's an old farm, and they turn it into a brewery. They grow a lot of their stuff there to make the beer, and it's called Screaming Hill because on the other side of the farm there's a hill, and there was a church there back in the 1800s. And when it was like one of those churches where they would yell and sing and scream and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it was like one of those real active churches, so you could hear it for miles back in the 1800s of them screaming about the Lord and everything. So it was called Screaming Hill. I thought that was a pretty cool story.
I like that. That's pretty neat.
We'll have to go explore that. I wonder if anything's still up there.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool part. Tim, if you came past Great Adventure and you make the left on the Hawkins Road to go to my campground, you would make the right there, and you go down that road and around, and it's up on the right-hand side.
Don't go past Great Adventure on a weekend, though, because you're going to get stuck on 530.
Go over there, Josh. What's going on over there?
They're going the wrong way down 537.
You're all crisscross all over the place.
That's the second time in a row that's happened. They're going to have to get cops over there and straighten
They got to
out.
extend that divider.
Oh, yeah. Make it go under the bridge.
Yeah. Make people. Here's the other thing.
Here again, how we just talked earlier in the show. Like, if I go past the Dunkin' Donuts and the line's out the door and there's no room in the parking lot, I just pass it. You know what? If I'm going to Great Adventure and you got to cut across the divider and go the wrong way on a highway to get in, I'm not going that day. I'm passing it and going somewhere else.
What do you think the lines are going to be like when you get in the park at that point?
It's not even going to be enjoyable to get inside.
That depends on where you live.
When the parking lot was half full and you couldn't get on a ride. Imagine when they're parking out on 537 to get in there.
Yeah.
Well, that depends, too. If you live where we live, no, you don't go. But if you drove 4 hours together, you're going to try to get in, I'm done. Ever since I got stuck on the log flume
or something, I'll go to iPlay American Freehold or something.
Yeah.
I got stuck on the log flume 2 weeks ago. I'm not going back there.
I did see El Toro derailed, so Josh must have got his old job back over there.
Yeah. The rear upstop wheels came off, and then my favorite. There was this lady. I've always hated her there. She's like one of the she's a spokeswoman for the park or whatever. So she has to turn all the when they had to tear Rolling Thunder down. She had to make it all upbeat that it was for progress and stuff. Like, shut up! You're tearing a ride down.
I tell you what, how cool would it have been to get one of the old ride cars off of the.
I wanted one from Freefall.
Oh, that would have been cool. Put it right in your front lawn.
Yeah, but
they're probably there somewhere.
Real quick, Josh. I know we're trying to get.
I was just going to say that she even though the video, the pictures, and the state literally said we're investigating the derailment. She said, "Oh, there was no derailment." You look at the oh my god! Can we finally fire her?
It was called like a soft derailment or something like that, or a partial derailment or something like that.
Oh my god! They'll do it. I mean, it's just like Disney. That you can die, but they won't declare you dead until you're off.
You're off the property.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't die at Disney.
And I took that underground tour at Disney, and that's why they have that underground stuff. If someone gets hurt or dies, they don't want the ambulance driving through the park. They literally bring them to a tree with a hole in it,
It's a body shoot.
yeah, exactly. They never. We're a Great Adventure. Someone gets hurt, the ambulance drives right through the park. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they couldn't. Invest that.
So they got all the roads underneath, and there's all these little hidden places that gets you below ground there. And
do you know who designed all those underground passages under there?
Walt Disney.
No, ex-Nazis.
Either way, I'm not surprised.
They did, and there's artwork inside the castle to prove it.
And they keep it up.
It's up. Oh yeah.
If you ever go to Disney and you have the extra money, do that Keys to the Kingdom thing. It gives you the whole tour of below Disney, and it's pretty amazing down there.
Google ex-Nazi Disney, Josh, one day.
We're going back on the conspiracy podcast. I'll talk to you tomorrow about that, Tim.
Okay.
All right, guys, I got to get going here. That wraps up RPM Podcast, episode 193. I guess we'll see you guys this weekend at Wall.
Yeah, go to Wall.
Wash your hands, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.